Why is you up this early? The best game ever? That's what? Is that even a question? We'll finish the song. But I don't know, I enjoyed this game a lot. It's pretty fun. How much money is this?
This program has been brought to you care of the following sponsors.
What? How'd you sub to me again? Wait, what? I swear you subbed 10 days ago. I see it on my dashboard. You subbed 10 days ago. How'd you sub again? Well, yeah, I'm actually a millionaire, Loki. Thank you for the sub, bro. I've been subbed 27 months. It literally says on my dashboard you subbed 26 months 10 days ago. Yeah, that makes sense, I think. I don't know. This song is so good, man. I was speaking on Twitter? Yeah! I wanted to move and play Aki, but like, I don't know. Sounds kind of miserable. Like, dude, okay, look at this. 26 months.
Has been brought to you care of the following sponsors.
Literally 10 days ago, by the way. Whatever, man. I low-key don't know where the fuck I am. I'm in like one of the final investigations. I'm at the corporation. Yeah, I'm at Noble. What's being built out there? Outside the line, brand new bestsellers, the Animate 16 Warm. It was delayed, yeah. Looks kind of cold out there. We keep the factory floor refrigerated. Holy shit! 10 stream streak. Let's go. So the organics already tuned metabolic activity to a minimum. Expense of the room doesn't smell like rotten flesh. The flesh out there is only somewhat rotting, slowly. I'm surprised to see metal. All the A16s have alloy endoskeletons. The organics are layered on later in the process. Her and these scattered doll parts. I get that you can grow just about anything from lax Gemini, but how do you get anything synthetic and organic to work together? Real skin with synthetic muscle. It was just a horror show. Metal pulling on skin was just right. Organic muscles, organic skin. Digital signals on organic hardware was a dead end. Didn't the muscles flex when you pass an electric current through them? Alex is awesome, but apparently it's not even the incest. The patch just sucks. This has been the worst month for fighting games I've ever seen in a while. Don't worry. Don't worry. What is it, the 18th? 2 more days. 2 more days. 2 more days until Arxis will save the FGC. Nah. I'm gonna be mad as hell if they just drop a trailer, bro. They better drop that shit on the same day. like, like I need content, man. Dude, I've been keeping up with the Killer Kobe shit. That's funny. The BlazBlue guy. Dude, I just don't know. He's like, oh yeah, I'm actually just gonna retire. It's wild. This is just the sex pest. I don't know. I'm just saying, bro. White people be like, yeah, I actually got a girlfriend on Discord. She's 10 years older than me. Yeah, we also have e-sex. Yeah, like, come on, bro. Not serious. Mod companies. We actually bought out half a dozen of them, but yeah, I was thinking the mobile had mod companies. How to get human nervous systems moving mechanical limbs decades ago. So we just need to get a mechanical nervous system to move. Living limbs. Very clumsy attempt to avoid using the word human. High precision mods are slotted straight into the nervous system. They receive their input from neurotransmitters, not bioelectricity. So you had to do the opposite? Exactly, we create a synthetic neurotransmitter that our androids could use to communicate with organic flesh. Where did that breakthrough come from? Dr. Asher? Partly. He led the team that built the motor neurons in this analogy. They carry commands from the central nervous OS to individual muscles across the chassis. The synthetic analog serotonin, that was actually an old brainchild from the VP of Android Futures, Helen Jung. Jung. Hasn't David mentioned Dr. Jung before? Sounds impressive. He's one hell of a biochemist. Or she was, I guess. Not much time for individual lab work when you get her kind of pay grade. So Jung collaborated with David on the technology that enabled warm androids. As I thought, whatever went into Sarah that makes the android so distinct, he couldn't have taken sole credit for it. So Jung was the engineer, and David was the programmer. Did he partner with her on this? They seem to share some components with that coffin Sarah was napping in. If DAWS does quality assurance, is it some kind of Android calibration device? It's probably what he'll use to resurrect Sarah. Looks a little... Is Sarah tall enough for it to recognize her? Is that a joke? This is like I've seen this before. That's right, there was one in David's lab. That's the nanograde elementary manufacturer, Nanofacturer for short. Real high quality piece of machinery, each of them built in-house by Randock Mechanics. What does it do? Flash fab. Oops. A 3D printer for nanomachines. Oh yeah. You build nanomachines in your factories for use in your androids? The raw materials are cheap, literally elementary, so no sense in getting them shipped in. It's mostly the medical models that make use of them. Inject a couple thousand nanites into a patient's bloodstream, run diagnostics, and provide a solution. A 3D printer for nanomachines, so what kind of ink does it use? Silicon, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, building blocks. They feed into the nanoprinter and assembles the machines particle by particle, like a ribosome building structurally complex proteins out of chemically simple amino acids. It must be time consuming. You would think, but why not correct the code on parallel microfacturing? The inside is crystalline, sprawling like an ant's nest. Raw materials enter at one of the thousands of different entry points, combining and recombining at intersections. The finished product ends up at the center and drips out in a liquid solution. Distilled nectar is swimming with millions of nanites in just 2 minutes. Nectar? It's sticky. It can be depending on the desired output, but the door vacuum seals while it's cooking, so don't worry. It's completely spill-proof. What a relief. Not exactly a box of paper cups David could just have brought home from the office one day. He must have bought his own for some reason. What's this? A shade of crimson. If I squint through the glass, out on the floor there are temperature-controlled fluid tanks. Through glass and plastic flows an eye-catching scarlet that transitions into... So you add the blood towards the end. You mean the oxygen? Yeah, relatively late in the process. Something out of place? Androids have blood, even if it's not officially labeled as such, but it isn't red, it's pink. Sometimes milky, sometimes neon, occasionally garnish, but pink. I just didn't think the oxygen would be red. Alright, sorry, I barely noticed it at this point. The color is natural, comes from the biomanufacturing process. That chromafuge out there removes the byproducts that waste the excess pigments, changing it from blood red to psycho pop pink. Without that chromafuge, our android's flesh would come out looking all the wrong colors. Maybe it probably isn't, but it is big. But I have a simpler explanation. What's she saying? It probably isn't, but it may be. Blood is primal. The sight of it carries weight. They change the color of the product's blood so that when an android gets a bottle broken against his face, no one bats an eye. Danganronpa. I think Abigail can save SF6 just like they saved that character's never coming back. Bro, I'm sorry. Is that it? I think there's something missing. Because it would usually auto-advance me. Oh, there it is. The data pad. nearly every industry in plans, cartoons and puppets and toys. I don't know, who would save Street Fighter 6? It's probably Makoto. Like, I don't know, it's Makoto would save Street Fighter 6. Human sensibility. Yeah, we not reading that shit. Noble must be wary. This just makes sense. I'm save skipping, by the way. If the peak does exist, they'll be coming up on its fast now that engines are warm. Noble's entire product line, maybe their entire industry, could go bottoms up if people start to think it's cruel. If there's any indication of where the engines are headed, I could see some people getting uncomfortable. It's a moral issue. Is there something else? I would usually auto-advance pieces. Oh, there it is. And hair left on the desk. Probably half a dozen empty ones in drawers. Then hair is distributed by the company, right? Oh yeah, HR handles it. They personalize your dosage and prescription and update it based on performance and job fulfillment reviews. Other corporations should do it the same way. How many fans does Urine have? Probably a lot. People like his mirror. I think Makoto is definitely the most popular, like, not announced character right now. Losing focus on the job could cost you. Who knows how much loss in efficiency. Sorry if this insensitive, but given what happened to David, are overdoses common in the company? Yeah, he says. Overdoses, that is, not hospitalizations or deaths. It's all pretty organized these days. Back when I started in consulting, pretty much everyone had an embarrassing story from the first 2 years where they popped a few too many greens and missed the on-ramp. Popped greens? Used to be pills. Green to get you going, yellow to keep you there, swallow red after brushing your teeth and get your bunk fast. The inhalers are a huge improvement, like going from torches to light bulb. Urian, maybe Dan has a fan base I just don't know about. I don't think he's that much of a fan base. I think he's like a Reddit afterthought. He just goes viral on the internet for a few days and then everyone forgets him. I don't know, I'm gonna just say, bro, the last thing the game needs is another Shoto. There's just too damn many. Which is actually why I'm kind of against Sakura. But at the same time, I think Sakura coming back doesn't even make sense. Because of the way her story ended in 5. The Purge. What is the Purge? The act of emptying one's stomach. Oh, okay. Because of the pills. You never stepped into the scanner, as he says. Understood. What are we looking at here? Whoa. This is a lot to unpack here. We theorized that it may have been Asher's pincushion. A pincushion, huh? That would explain some of what I'm reading here. What language is that on the screen? Tess. Tesseract? I don't even think they give like the character's dignity, let alone story. Yeah, that shit's just fucked. Pretty much all the products period are programmed in Tess. Easy to read and write, stay compliant. Now this model, what's it go by? Sarah. The Sarah model. It's got everything the 16 line has for sure. Organic skin, hybrid muscles, and advanced facial processing and molding. There's a lot of content here that's still in development. Like in the idea phases. Solar hair strands, decentralized redundant power, mental and physical overclocking with extended tolerances. Data storage is so large I can't know. Wow, he had to measure it using hell of a poker face. Decryption and signal hijacking, that's hacking, essentially. Does it mean it can hack its own tenets? Oh, that's unthinkable. Literally for an ad. For an ad to break its tenets would be like you stepping into traffic or dropping a baby. Even if you're physically capable of it, it's not something you could ever choose to do. Some people do walk into traffic. Psychotics, addicts, the mentally ill. Does that mean there are androids? Well, there aren't crazy androids, so yeah. I guess my analogy doesn't hold up. That's okay. So it can't hack itself, but it was given the ability to hack other systems. The interesting line is that such a capacity could be an option in certain emergency scenarios. breaking through the firewalls and encryption of surrounding electronics to broadcast directly to police or military channels. Speaking of military, yeah, she's super strong. Can you lift a car or something, Sarah? Most cars. It would depend on the center of gravity. This Sarah could wrestle a public disturbance walker and come out on top. Those stumping behemoths they bring out for ride suppression. And in terms of computational abilities, that estimate says that can't be right. I was actually hoping you could tell me something about the software or the metadata. Who worked on it and when? Alright, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. The editing logs have been purged. That doesn't sound very above the board. I can't see anything about who worked on Sarah or when. Agency can restore these logs. Not here, not this machine. I need the computers that were actually used for the programming this model. David's thing? Or maybe the engineer. I cannot answer that question with any accuracy. I can tell you that code is unique. There's hints of the A16 in there, a few of the same conclusions. It's just Dr. Asher or whoever took the very different paths to get there. Sarah has even less in common with every other android on Inside. Sorry, didn't expect to hit a dead end here. Not at all. You've been very helpful. Can we still get the registration done? Yeah, no problem. We've got software and forms all set up here. Occasionally we let new business partners bring one home fresh from the oven, you know. A few basic questions then. Who's going to be the official owner of this unit? She is. As it says, unless the will disagrees, it's my responsibility. Right then. You found out the destination, Sarah. We can set it to anything you like. Well, actually... Oh, yeah. Civilian model, address, contact info I can get from your crumbs. Do you want to reset to factory defaults? Could clear up a lot of quirks. Not right now. The last thing then is the grading. I'm reading 23 tenets here, nothing too far out of ordinary. You seem more malleable than that. Don't blame yourself. Guessing tenant count from outward appearance has become a crapshoot. Not like it used to be. Used to be they only had 3 tenants total and every unit had to have them. First sections for lawsuits, okay. A tenant making sure ads couldn't endanger the state. A tenant ad stating that ads couldn't divulge private information without prior consent. There's a campaign calling for a tenant to weigh child and adult lives equally during risk assessment. There's a campaign calling for a tenant to do the opposite. Companies wanted their assess covered. Their ass is covered. Customers wanted guarantees. There's never much incentive to deny requested tenants, so the list just ballooned. Until the military entered the market in full force. You sound like you don't approve. I wouldn't go that far. They need their ads to be able to pull the trigger when ordered to. Without clearing the 5,000 lines of bloated, hard-coded decision points to get there, I get that. But since the armies are the only ones using tech with the bare minimum tenants, all the best, the least clear, most elegant code is only used for war games. It's not very romantic. Department of Advanced Defense Projects v. Zenith Dynamics. The Supreme Court sided with the military request and set up a new precedent that every other army around the world would race to meet. Changing tenants from a mandated list at the root of every ad's source code to choose your own checklist. It's funny, ads with the most tenants, they're so locked up you can't even have a conversation with them. And outside the armed forces, the only ads with single-digit tenant counts are just vacuuming floors. The most impressive ones, like what you got here, fall somewhere in the middle. On a tangent. Only thing is left is the evaluation. What gets evaluated? Total financial worth for insurance purposes. The insurance companies made sure we had a very accurate algorithms for this. No room for human error, they insisted with no sense of irony. I knew it was custom, but what price could they possibly... It's a lot of digits. You should know these formulae are pretty conservative with their estimates. Stingy, even. If Sarah's really David's last and greatest work, they say some things are priceless, but when you force an insurance algorithm to pick a number... Try not to get any scratches on it, I guess. You spoke differently back there, With Dawes, you spoke like he did. It seems like I copied his accent. You seem to mirror his effect, his tone. It's called being friendly, what's your point? It was just an observation. You can choose to keep those to yourself, you know. No tenant required. Why are you so concerned about registering me in the first place, Adonai? For the same reason I wouldn't drive around in a car without a license plate. Any cop or even just a well-placed camera could have spotted your barcode and seen that it wasn't set up without any actual data. And then they would have arrested me, and then they would have thrown me in the slammer. They would have arrested me and put you in an Evans locker. An android can't get arrested? People can get arrested. Property gets seized. And then smashed. Great, you put us over the weight limit. I did no such. Morgan Counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Who's asking? VP of Android Futures, Helen Jung. Oh, this is the engineer. Shouldn't have assumed I still had the opening to move. Tell her I'll be right up. I'll redirect your elevator now. Taking control of the elevator is very convenient, forceful. As if Noble is trying to directly steer your investigation. If Noble wanted to shut me down, they wouldn't bother to be subtle. I suppose they could simply refuse to cooperate, or just let the elevator drop. These lines are so fire, true dat. Dude, the thing is, Gecko came in here yesterday, he's like, dude, this looks like the incest game, bro. It looks like Coffin of Andy and Lele. Just shut up, man. She chopped or no? She chopped. I'd be 80 in this world. Oh, it's the year? Right. Speaking first is a sign of weakness, is it? And here I thought I could avoid wading into the swamp of corporate pretend power dynamics. Speak first, let her stew. I'm gonna give her the aura. Check this shit out. Silence is only awkward if you care. I can ignore social cues all day long. Holy shit, nonchalant gimmick. In 2086. I always like this time of day. Not too muggy for you? No, I never liked the clear blue sky. It always seems cold to me. You're in luck. The sky gets more colorful every year. As the air quality drops. Childish, isn't it? Marveling at the small sheen of rainbow dancing on the surface of a massive oil spill. Apologies for waxing poetic. It's been a very unusual 24 hours around here. Dr. Jung, just Miss is fine. Miss Jung, I get the feeling you didn't bring me up here to talk about the weather. No, I brought you up here to express my condolences. I'm very sorry for your loss. I could say the same. I knew you and David worked together for many years. Yes, we did, but as much as I'd like to just drop everything in process, the company wills don't stop spinning for anything. Or anyone. Was Dawes of any help? She sent him? Trying to be helpful or just trying to control the narrative? He's not married. Oh. That must mean you know why I'm here. I don't want to make assumptions. No need, I'll be explicit. I'm here as an officer of the court, which means I'm bound by law to document every rock I turn over. And every person I speak to. The lawyers made that all very clear. Lawyers? You have an android, it's not one of ours. You can tell that quickly, got all the faces memorized. It's easy enough to remember the major archetypes we use, yes. If you're nuts about your work, maybe. It's a recent acquisition, a very recent, in fact. One of David's latest last requests, apparently. David asked you to take it. Please give me full access to the scene, that you know that he wasn't alone last night. There was a single witness who met with him and called emergency services when he fainted. I was that witness. Ooh. Really? Obviously. There aren't many people with David who would bother meeting with in person, let alone welcoming him into his house and offering them a drink. I also knew that Jung is his superior on paper, though not in frame. I knew that witness had Executive Plan 3 insurance, so they had to be higher up than David, yeah. Well then, do your lawyers know we're having this conversation? Of course. They're pulling their hair out about it as we speak. I can't imagine why. The police cleared you. And you were well within your right to ask for some privacy given the high-profile nature of all that's happened. So why call me up here? Why cut through all the red tape your lawyers painstakingly hid you behind? Eventually, you or some clever lawyer like you would get the record opened, through legal means or otherwise. The company's enemies are legion, and they have a prying knife for every occasion. Still, that would have taken time. Time you could use to get ahead of what could be the biggest PR hurdle Noble's ever seen. Touché. And perhaps the truth of the matter is what I simply didn't want to hide. David was my colleague for several years. If I were in your shoes, I would have questions as well. You're doing this for my sake? No, my reasons are purely selfish. I'm only hoping that talking to someone whose job isn't to defend me from all consequences might prove. therapeutic. If she wants to play confessional, that's fine by me. But is that really all that's going on here? Why don't you start from the beginning then? You went to his home last night. Yes, around 7:30, the building's penumbra captured all that quite clearly. He fell around 8, so you spent half an hour together. Why the late call in person? We had an intense discussion yesterday afternoon. David never came in on Saturdays, and I didn't want to spend the weekend glaring at him through the screen, so I visited, and he let me, and we talked. About the good old days, if you can believe that. Back when we were both new to the company, eager to make a name for ourselves. How long ago was that? 7 or 8 years ago. Miss Jung? Putting a number on it doesn't sound that all long ago, but it seems we spent a while like that just talking. He was lively and sharp, and I never would have thought that a few minutes later that he would be dead, that he would commit suicide in front of me. A firm reply. What happened? A quarter before 8, he said he wanted a toast. He got up, walked back into his workshop, and then he must have went down his basement to get us a bottle. I checked some messages in the meantime, enjoyed the view. In other words, she stayed on camera. He came back with a bottle of whiskey and 2 plastic cups. We drank and talked. He got quieter, spoke less. I thought he was just getting drunk. I didn't get worried until he started to fall asleep. You tried to wake him? He wasn't responding. I tried to shake him awake, but he didn't seem... I left him and ran to the kitchen to use the security system. Didn't think to use your phone? No. I suppose I didn't. But it worked out. The penumbra's emergency protocol summoned a VTOL straight to the helipad with 1-button press. When I returned to the parlor, he was limp. I moved to the floor as delicately as I could. He had a heartbeat, but... Oh, that's why he was laid face up, because she escorted him to the floor. He had a heartbeat, but I just did what I could until they arrived. You went with them to the hospital, I take it. They insisted they checked my vitals and ran a talk screen, which came back clean. So did David's for all the good it did him. I wasn't paying close attention to what they were saying at that point. I'm sure they ran through every step of the CCE salt. That's what they're paid to do. You seem certain that it was suicide, yes. Why? As I said, he got quieter as time passed and he spoke less. But the last thing he said to me, the last clear thing he said, was that he was happy ending it here, said he was content. And he downed his glass after that. He drank every last drop. Does that sound like David Asher to you? Curious, restless, perfectionist David? No. I guess it doesn't. Oh my god! Lock it in. Counter-corporate espionage, which just corporate espionage. Only used in self-defense, you understand? Noble anticipates employees at your level getting poisoned. They give us all kinds of CCE training. Subtly, of course. Usually disguised or itinerary as the leadership workshops or psychiatric evaluations. They train you to expect to get murdered at these leadership workshops. Murder is a fairly rare at our level. More likely, they want us too sick to work. Let's drain the company resources in a hospital bed while our position sits vacant. That's smart. Like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas to strain the enemy's medical resources. It's terrible. Like snipers purposely... Okay. Compared to when they want to turn an asset. Feel ill for the rest of your life with an undiagnosable malady. Or become... Malady, by the way. Whoops. Or become our mole and we'll send you the antidote every 2 weeks. That's a nasty piece of work. It's a nasty line of work. Consulting. I'm sorry. That's what they call it. They can't exactly put corporate spy on your CV. So every consultant I've met at the cocktail party was actually... Depends, did they say that they're consultants? Or did they say they were in consulting? How the hell am I supposed to remember? So do your people think what happened to David was a deliberate attack? Noble's competitors have been trying to get to David for years, and that's the timescale their plans operate on. If this was an attack from a rival corporation, the company would have seen it coming. They probably have struck first. Why the plastic cups? Yeah, there's a story there. David and I got hired around the same time under similar circumstances, headhunted while finishing our higher education. During recruiting, the company claimed to want us badly, but in practice, our actual authority was inexperienced and overpaid. You must have been extremely unpopular. You don't mince words. We didn't either back then. We were loudly trying to convince our superiors that their entire sales model for androids was antiquated, and self-defeating. The two of them made that one point doctoring that's not the story I heard in Noble commercials and Noble's sponsored media. Yeah, because David's the famous one. It's not a story I've ever heard from David himself. We had this deadline, self-imposed but still a deadline. We wanted to get our pitch to the president of international sales by the end of the day. Program trained to make a sales pitch. The clock hits 9, and even the zombies start heading home. I turn to David and tell him that's not going to happen. We're nowhere near finished and the day's long been over. He looked at me like I'm the only other person on a sinking boat and I've just stopped pitching water, and he says, "The president lives on the other side of the globe. We've still got all night until his end of the day." He wrapped up at 4 in the morning, just us and the cleaning staff. Back then only half of them were ads. He finally sends the message and I'm ready to collapse. I've got nothing. We stared blankly at his inbox for the next 40 minutes, hoping that harsh light would give us the energy to work through the next day. We got a response. It wasn't long, but he showed he was interested. I'd been turned down so many times before then, ignored and placated, passed up, and ghosted ends. But together, David and we had finally gotten a win. So David asks if I got anything to drink. I've got a bottle of some swill in the cabinet at my desk, but he says he doesn't want to drink from the bottle. He says he wants to toast. So we there at 5:19 in the morning, toasting awful vodka to one another in cups we grabbed from the break room. Toasting our first victory against the corporate beast. Between the lack of sleep and the drinking, the next day at work was hell. Sounds like a good memory. Plastic cups and liquor, thought was a little ritual. But I didn't think twice when he presented me with my cup. It was ceremony for us. History with Noble. Demanding, some might say. You could say his work as life balance was Okay. AC only entered production this year, correct? Correct. Pre-orders started last holiday and we began shipping in the first quarter. Surprised you heard of that. I did that project, yes, but that was years ago. At the time, Serotonin was a little more than a novelty, a dead end. It wasn't until David took the reins on the A16 that we found a use for it. Took the reins. He was the lead programmer on limb coordination, facial expression, exhaustion parameters. Okay. He used to stick steadfast to his role as a software architect. That was his field of expertise, and he didn't wander far. Okay. This error is Sarah. Even DAWs can find any read details on where it came from. It's not in any of our systems. I'm afraid not. Did David ever talk to you or anyone else at the company yet about a pet project? No, he never gave me any indication like that. If he didn't talk to me about it, I seriously doubt he confided in anyone else at the company. David didn't trust anyone higher on the chain than himself and anyone below him. Frankly, they couldn't possibly hope to give him any advice. He never mentioned me. No, never. Androids don't come cheap. You never heard about him requisitioning parts or resources? There were never any discrepancies with his company credit card? The company's accountants are mirthless. Even by industry standards, they wouldn't humor anybody, not even David Asher. If they had ever detected financial discrepancies, there would have been an uproar loud enough you could hear it in the mailroom. You have a mailroom? Not since the 30s. Just a figure of speech. He couldn't have taken resources from the company without leaving a record, but no one would deny Dr. David Asher information. He would have been able to obtain all the necessary data to build his own Rangeoid. Then, with enough time and money, he could privately purchase the raw materials himself. I don't understand it. It must have taken years to build Sarah. He wasn't doing anything illegal, except the hacking stuff, so why keep it a secret? I don't know. But he was private and a perfectionist. Perhaps he wasn't proud of the result. Could be. Well, thanks for taking time to talk to me. I'm sure this has been a difficult day for you, a difficult day for all of us. A message from Fran. I'm running out of Lisa Chase, the brat better have good news. The musician? Are we going to take this to court? That's my plan. The circumstances may be irregular, but I'm still defending a client from a criminal charge. It's my responsibility to argue that he's not guilty of what he's being accused of. And is that what you believe? That he didn't commit suicide? I guess I haven't decided what I believe. Would you kindly slow the hell down? I'm sorry, Adonai. Was I walking too quickly for you? That wasn't walking. That was speed walking. Up 2 flights of stairs. It's very different. Speed walking? Sounds like a powerful technique. Is it like Zen Jiao? Just let me catch my breath for a minute. Adonai. Is it possible that you are out of shape? No. But since we left the cab, your heart rate has... I'm not wearing the right clothes. Or the right shoes. Is that so? Yes. Also, I didn't stretch or hydrate. The sun's reaching its zenith. That would have been several hours ago. Do you mean the air temp? You said it would be a short walk from the street level, so I prepared myself mentally for a short walk. Then you took off like a rocket and didn't mention we had to go upstairs. Are you sure this place is even back here? Badass, by the way. The reviews online were quite clear. It's worth the trouble finding it. Maybe if you're a mountain climber. When I sent friend hunting for a musician in David's circles, I expected them to bring in someone from the city orchestra or jazz club. The champagne flute and teacup kind of musician. But this is the tequila and neon part of the town. It should be in view if you turn Adonai. Be careful of what? It's a stray and it's bearing its fangs too. It could be carrying diseases. You should relax. It's growling. It's not growling at me. See? So it's just me that doesn't like too much static. How do you get that calm down? It's an animal, not a monster. It wants to be calm. You like animals? What kind of cold-blooded freak doesn't like animals? Do you have a pet? No, I never have. Why not? Because I don't want to take care of a pet. It seems counterintuitive to me. Well, it makes perfect sense to me, and I don't need it to make sense to you. But you notice you're only this talkative when it's just the two of us? Just an observation. You shy or something? Did David program you to have android anxiety? It's generally only appropriate to respond to comments that are addressed to oneself. Today, I've rarely been addressed directly by people other than you. In other words, you're shy. That is not what I... There's no law against it. Ultraviolets. This is the establishment. Now to see if Isaac Porter is a habitual as friend claims. Do you think Father was close with this man you've never met? I think he was close with him, yeah. At some point. I had some help making that deduction. Friends thought that their metadata showed a significant cooling of interaction between the two of them, particularly over the past month. But Fran also saw a phone call between the two last night. So they were close. So on the night he died? Do you think they were sleeping together? That's good. That is completely inappropriate for me or anyone to speculate about. Inappropriate? It's only... I'm getting a very important text message from a private investigator, excuse me. I haven't spoken to Potter yet. Anyway, there's no reason to suspect him right now. Surprised you're invested all of a sudden. Isn't David Asher a corporate sellout in your eyes? Everyone's a corporate sellout. But Asher gets respect. If I'm a demolitions expert, he's like a really good architect. It's almost sweet, I think. Asher started working on in Cube, so in the architect analogy. By today's standards, he's like, I don't know. As a kid, he's built all his bricks by hand. Or something. You know that lit homework can help you with forming analogies. Eat this analogy. Did that come through or did the characters break? It's supposed to be a guy giving you the finger. I take it as I take it Cube is a programming language. What's special about it? Anything coded in the last 20 years is web-based. You code with the assumption that you'll always be connected. So you can depend on having fat libraries of references to lean on. And if something does go wrong, your errors get reported to you automatically. But not Cube, you can look it up. But basically, Cube was originally for robotics like machinery. Stuff that had to operate in mines, under the ocean, so these would be disconnected. Middle of nowhere fields with zero, yeah. Cube had to be self-sufficient. How rugged. Where'd Ashland Cube anyway? It's older than dirt, from like the 40s. I don't know. I think his father had a machine shop or something. Vague. David didn't like to talk about his family. Really good rage bait. Not telling. The stage for talent, pretty close to the floor. Guess it fits with the whole round table aspect of this place. Everyone's on more or less equal footing, dancing in the dark once you get past the bouncer. Do you think they have met here? David and Porter? I can't see David walking in here. Because you found this walk so challenging? Because it's too loud to relax. Not dark enough to be anonymous. I see. What's that face? You got an opinion to share? The atmosphere's not bad in here, but the music isn't quiet. I'll find you a survey to fill out before we leave. What kind of music does an Android even like? Early 21st century punk rock. Wonder what they'd say. If they're smart, they'd say that music peaked with the early 21st century punk rock. That one over there, he matches the photo France sent. Should I approach now or look somewhere on some more? A bar stocked full of colorful sections and busy bartenders. Hope this isn't the kind of club you can order food in. Only time bar food is any good is when you're drunk enough to forget the taste and gap between chewing and swallowing. So you can, like, eat things? Yes, I can. What, like, Android food? There's no such product. What do Androids eat? Onlysers, they don't eat anything in the traditional sense. They get their energy from electric charging, usually wireless. Whenever they need to eat, it's to replenish certain vitamins and electrolytes. Zero fuck with Imagine Dragons? Yeah, punk rock band Imagine Dragons. Kibble, like dog food? It's not dog food at all. Can you buy it from the pet store? Seems that you can. How is this something you have to look up anyway? Because I've always just eaten whatever father gave me. Like what? Marbled beef? Never hypodermic avocados, foie gras. That sort of thing. I'm not paying for any of that. That's kind of expensive. Is that all? Oh, data pad. Sit down with luxury. Most beautiful woman in the world. $3,000 increase in share price. It's a pain. No burning visible. If I don't dress like this, all my sponsors fall into bidding wars. $18 to $29 now and forever. However old she is or isn't, luxury's got one hell of a mind for business. It might do her more good than that face in the end. Maybe it's one hell of a face. In the meantime, she's powerful. I would say powerful. Sunrises are too meteoric for even the Megs to grab the reins on. At this point, luxury's got them at her mercy. She can send their stocks into disarray with one selfie. Good for her. That's him, alright. Let's get some time before the sets tonight. Are you unsure how to proceed, Adonai? I'm sure that you need to hang back. As for me, I'll play it cool, play it charades. Play it cool. Hey there, hey. Some sick beats out there on the floor, right? Sick beats? Yeah, or whatever, man. The hell? Are you, what? Oh, I lost coins for that. Okay, my bad. At least we got the save scum ready. Whoops. Isaac Porter, what's up? My name's Morgan, I was David's friend. Right now, I'm his lawyer. Can we talk? Depends. Were you a friend from work? No. Over here. Thanks, Isaac. Don't thank me yet. I just sat here, I might just sit here, shut my mouth, and stick with my tab. So what kind of lawyer are you? What kind of friend? I'm his defense attorney. Think you missed the bus on that, then yeah? And I'm a friend that needs to know what happened yesterday. Doesn't everyone? Try somewhere else. Friendly lawyer. I haven't seen him in weeks. That's a lie. They had a call last night. You might not have seen him, but we both know that you spoke with him over the phone yesterday. Only a short time before he died. How the hell? Isaac. It's pretty obvious that you don't want this particular spotlight to linger on you any longer than necessary, so why don't we cut to the chase? Save Scale Merchant? I'm him. No lies, no playing coy. Fine. Sarah. Yes, Adonai? The hell? Is that thing transmitting? I'm not streaming any data, no. Porter doesn't seem to recognize Sarah either. One more person David was keeping secrets from. I need to record everything for the court. Fine. You two were together, is that correct? We were together, I ended it. Yesterday. Care to elaborate? On our entire relationship? Like, you can tell me everything once and I can get you on record. Or you can hear the same questions over and over again from 1,000 different cops and Megs for the next 3 months. We met in a bar. I had seen him come in a few times, each time with someone else. Each time talking with his mouth, but not looking with his eyes. It ticked me off. Scribbling on napkins and letting a single gin and tonic sweat onto the table for 2 hours. His dates would all go to the bathroom or take a call and slip out the back. One of them didn't make it in 10 minutes. And he'd sit there the rest of the night unfazed. Couldn't tell if he was oblivious or stupid or shameless, or the most confident man in the world. And he ticked me off. One night things were slow and my set had been cancelled and his date hadn't even bothered to think of an excuse before bailing, so I asked him why he insisted on coming there every night after night, just to ignore vapid people he wasn't interested in at a shitty bar with drinks he didn't like. He said, because I like your music. It was cute early on him being so passionate about work I could barely pretend to understand. And I like that we gave each other that space, you know? Felt like we were being mature or whatever. Until... There was no until. No one day where everything turned sour. But at some point I started to understand where his priorities were. And how I ranked in them. Like I said, he was passionate about his work. I just wrongly assumed that he would also be that passionate about me at some point. So I put away a little, wanted to see if he'd notice, if he'd miss me. Testing him like that isn't the biggest red flag in the world. He never budged. I couldn't ignore him for days. I could ignore him for days and he wouldn't be the least bit ashamed to see me. If I picked a fight, he never got angry or upset, he just apologized. He didn't want to fight with me. Guess he was never invested enough to bother. It was my mistake. I watched him sit there all those nights not giving a shit when people walked away and I still... I had this stupid idea that somehow for whatever reason I would be different. That would be special. But I wasn't, so I ended it. Last night, I called him, didn't expect... Okay, is that the suicide motive? I had everything prepared to leave a message with an assistant or ad or whatever, but he answered first ring, without hesitation, shame, or awkwardness, and that ticked me off. So I told him exactly how valued he made me feel over the last few months. I told him exactly how insignificant I felt as the boyfriend of the illustrious Dr. David Asher. What did he say? He apologized, and then he asked me if that was what I called to tell him. I hung up after that. Spent the rest of the night wrapped in warm disdain from him and his coldness. He made that easy for me. I went to sleep hurt but clean, ready for something new. And then this morning I wake up to see that my ex killed himself not 2 hours after he let me walk out of his life without so much as a don't. What the hell, man? What the hell, David? Now you're just the tip of an iceberg of lawyers and reporters and buzzards. Parasites who want to hear about the man who sent David Asher over the edge. I never wanted to be his last lifeline or the last straw that broke his back. I just wanted to be his goddamn boyfriend. Turns out that he was asking too much. It's yet to be determined whether David committed suicide. You serious? You don't have all the facts. And you do? And any one of them point to anything else? Thought so. Thanks for your time, I'll let you get back to it. That's it? No summons? The Corps has no need for you to retell a sad story like that. The Corps, Sorry to bother you at work. Sarah, let's go. Your discography is very impressive. Thanks. Your range is remarkable, so it pained me to see all your words in the last quarter have been so melancholy. I think, well, what the hell would you know about any of that? What's the matter, I can't find the words? You need to steal them from somewhere else first, butcher them before shitting them back out? I was not trained on any datasets that... Nah, pardon me, my mistake, really. Now you're felt that you're only standing here because rich prick nerds were allowed to rob the world blind for most of the century. We're leaving. Kinda tough, no? What the hell was that about? He was under the false impression that I was programmed using a massive automated learning model in early 21st century. AI, by the way? I mean, I get it. He's like mad at androids because David prioritized them over him. Not that, why you talk to him? I just felt that I should say something to him. Word of advice. People don't want comfort from strangers, especially when they're androids. They want it from the people they want it from. Coming from anywhere else, it's just corn syrup on a parched tongue. Doesn't matter how sweet it is, they'll just start gagging. You know a lot about people, don't you, Adonai? Compared to you, I'm a goddamn savant. There's not much time left. Is there still somewhere you want to investigate? Somewhere I need to return to, actually. Porter was right. As things stand, I don't have any evidence that could establish an alternative interpretation of the facts. But if there did exist hard evidence that could prove his death wasn't a suicide, there's only one place I could find it at this point. Noble again. Oh, the housing building? Okay. Penthouse. Basements. Okay. The basement. You sure you don't want to take another look at the crime scene? I'm all out of time. Gotta approach this from the other angle. The other angle? You know, inductive versus deductive? Flip the chessboard and all that. Haven't you ever read a mystery novel? I've seen a few mystery films. Well, then let's see if you paid any attention then. What killed David Asher? Poison. 10 points. There's a point system? Now how did that poison get into his bloodstream? He must have ingested it orally. And how did we know that? The medical examiner found no injection marks or wounds. And if he had inhaled it? Inhaled it? Why? Leave the whys to someone who actually understands them. I won't be able to understand anything if I don't practice. Practice by answering my question. I suppose it's possible, but highly unlikely. He would have found a delivery system for it in a building like an inhaler. An airborne poison is either shoved in your face or sprayed over a wide area, and no one around David has shown any kinds of symptoms, so all we're left is oral intake, eliminating them possible. What's next, Adonai? Jung's corroborated statements was that David didn't exhibit any irregular symptoms or behavior until he started drinking that night. The police didn't find anything unusual in any of the food or drink in his home, except for his cup. The results were inconclusive. Jung was drinking from the same bottle and the same type of cup, but didn't get sick. So the cup itself, the individual cup, we did conclude that David's cup alone was poisoned, yeah. That all seems logical, and consistent with the police's theory of suicide. So why are we down here? Minus 10 points. Back to 0. David left the parlor and came back with us, and came back with whiskey. Oh, this is where he got the alcohol, yeah. So this is like the one place there's poison somewhere here. Jung told us as much. Apparently the cameras upstairs support her story. So we have to conclude then that he got them both from this bar. Better, 5 points. Did he also get the poison from the cabinet? The police have been in here since we left. According to their ARC's file, they didn't have anything that matched the poison down here. So the poison somehow went straight into his drinking cup then. I need to flip this around, but if you turn something 360 degrees, you're just back to... If I were the prosecution, what would I want more than anything? Proof that David knowingly added poison himself. He wouldn't do that. And you can make that claim because there's no video evidence to contract you. How long was David off camera? From 7:36 to 7:40, when he left the parlor to get liquor from this bar. So they talked for 6 minutes. Then he went to the basement to get the drinks for 4 minutes. And then for 20 minutes, they were drinking. So if we had David on camera for those 4 minutes, and he didn't poison himself in that time... Wait, what? I thought he was off camera for 4 minutes. Yeah. If we had... Oh, if we had David on camera for those 4 minutes, and he didn't poison himself in that time, he would have had a perfect alibi for the crime, proving his innocence. But I don't know, we don't have footage of that. There are no security cameras down here. I think there are. What do you mean? This whole building is coated head to toe in penumbra of security systems courtesy of Noble. Every console, every corner, every android on Flora, it's all plugged into the penumbra. Except that. Manufactured by Cutter Security Systems. Why would David put a console from... This is the 64 character one though, yeah? Put a console on for different security and system in exactly one corner of his penthouse. I've never given it much thought. Well, it's been bothering me all day, but my curiosity alone can't escape a 64-digit wall. You mean signal hijacking or whatever you would call it? Have you tried it before? It is illegal, and unnecessary. Father would not. He would not have installed hidden cameras in his own home. At the end of the day, I can't make you do anything. Well, actually, I probably can now that you registered me. But aren't you the one who wanted to prove his innocence? Eliminate the impossible. I will need your express verbal commands. Not like David can press charges against us at this point. Do it. Did you really need me to say that? For the purpose of record keeping, yes. I've gone past the 64-digit code and I found cameras. There are a number of them embedded in the room's walls and ceilings. As you theorize, they're on a separate network from the rest of the building. Where are they feeding to if not the penumbra system? Behind my hibernation units. A false wall in the back of a safe. I don't understand. Why would Father possibly have a hidden system of cameras inside his own home? Beats me. He was brilliant and more than a little odd. Throw in a little money and odd becomes eccentric. I see, I think. I don't. The hell is he thinking? What is he afraid of? Why didn't he come to me for? Time short, gather facts now and leave the computation later. What's the story of this anyway? Some kind of fault in the foundation? I don't know. I've never noticed that crack before. Might want to get those eyes checked. There's nothing wrong with my vision. This crack must have been created during the most recent hibernation. How? Did David drop a weight a bunch of times over and over in the same spot? So that the original, it was appraised and confirmed to be genuine. At least he didn't get ripped off. Two epic forces of nature, two things of the forest, the stag and the tiger. I think. I'm officially less cultured than the robot. The liquor cabinet this mystery hinges on. The people okay. Yeah, there's nothing. No poison. Technically. Okay. Okay, nothing of interest. What did David even do with all this equipment? Dry his laundry? The following is a true story based on the primary sources who were present for the event and its aftermath. Copenhagen, 1981, 8:10 local time. A towering man with the musculature of a world-class professional rugby player enters the Global Bank on... Okay. He explains to the bank teller that he has a bomb in his suitcase and that he wants his gym bag filled with unmarked bills. A security guard approaches him from behind with a nightstick and swings, but the man simply catches the weapon and bends it into a twisted knot with his massive dinner plate-sized hands. And when asked to describe the suspect to the police afterwards, the teller had only this to say: that man was all muscle. The rest of the bank heist proceeds without incident, and the man exits the building just as police arrive on the scene when suddenly, his suitcase explodes. But it's just a smokescreen. Local officers quickly recognize the ploy and rush towards the door, grabbing each of the hotches as they flee while desperately searching for the perpetrator. What they find instead is this diminutive, frail, sheepish young man barely 160 cm tall, holding a gym bag full of money with no recollection of how he got there. Renowned psychologist and trained hypnotist Dr. Warner wrote the following as diagnosis: acute dissociative identity disorder. That's right, the man had a split personality. And so great was the disparity between the two halves that when they switched control, he's physically changed, becoming taller, bulkier, and capable of previously unthinkable feats of strength. So be careful what you say a man like Father can't do just because of how he looks on the outside. Every single word you said was false. Let's refocus here. So there's some kind of hidden door behind your bed bunk, huh? Essentially, though, a bunk bed would imply a second or third. How do we open it? One moment. I see. Gotta open already? I cannot open this door. Why? It's it's another password thing. I don't follow. When Father left adjusted the settings here, he made it so that the door would never open so long as I was hibernating. Is there that only I can open? It'll be of 6 characters or a password, some combination of letters. Okay. Did you or father have any influential moments in your life that revolved around a 6-letter word? Nothing comes to mind. Is there a code that he knew only I could learn? No dice. Could it be your birthday or his? If David said his password to something as dumb as that, I'd forgive him, as you'd say, Adonai. No, he definitely would pick a code whose signature was only obvious after the fact. No. Shit. Was that your name you just tried? It's 6 characters, isn't it? Yes, but it's not exactly secure, Adonai. Oh! That's genius. It's opening what was the password, Adonai? You'd never guess. That's good. Did feel a bit out of character, David, utilizing so much cloak and dagger tech. And I've definitely been struggling with the idea of him doing home improvement. But one step in here and it all makes sense. It's a panic room. Scary. A panic room is a place for rich people to hide when people start bouncing bricks off their windows. They're typically not even on the blueprints, so when Noble built this penthouse for one of their executives, someone slipped into this mix and it's remained in Noble's blind spot ever since. All David had to do was repurpose it. Make sure you're capturing all of this. I don't want to miss one chance because of a discovery technicality. I understand, but you needn't specify. My memory is flawless. I can play back visuals, sounds, sensations. I can even give detailed reports on air particulates. You mean you can smell? Better than any human and some canines. So does it smell like stale in here to you? Stale? It doesn't to me, almost like someone's been in here recently. Almost like someone here visits here frequently. Let's try booting up the computer. You don't think the console's password protected? 2 physical doors, a 64-digit code, a half-ton android, and a secret phrase. If David set a password on his PC after all that, I'm gonna go back to the morgue and have a word with him. It's already signed in. You looking for camera footage? I'd also set up for a note plainly stating that he feared for his life. What am I doing? Here, you search for the video files. They're probably timestamped and formatted for short-range devices. I have the subfolder. The cameras stream live data constantly, but the files are clipped at fairly regular intervals, once every week it seems. The most recent video file here has video footage from 8 days. It was accessed yesterday at around 4. That's before his death, okay. You were asleep then, so the only person who could go in here at the time was David himself. Let's see it then, that's 4 hours before his death. It's just that I'm having difficulty. Try double clicking. I've been trying to open the files for a moment. I discovered them, but they are encrypted. You gave me enough clues to get this far, but won't let me use your computer? What's the brand on the encryption program? If I rush a subpoena, they might come backdoor. I might have a vector I can bluff them into. These files were not encrypted with any commercially available tool. This appears to be Father's own work. Shit. If David Asher hand-wrote the encryption on these files, then no one alive could... Was Dodge just flying you back then? Or is your processing power really that special? Adonai, can you break into his encryption, yes or no? With enough time. And how much time would that be? 2 to 6 hours. I don't think I have enough time. It's a 4-hour window. No matter how sophisticated encryption is still just a code that must be deciphered. And when deciphering any code, progress proceeds exponentially, which makes it particularly difficult to determine the amount of time required to complete the process. 2 to 6 hours. I don't have any better options. Get started. I started 4 minutes and 23 seconds ago, finally showing some initiative. But you should have been talking to me. You've been talking this whole time. I have the ability to analyze data in parallel by utilizing subconscious processes so long as the work required is root. So you're doing it in the back of your head? Actually, I'm speaking to you in the back of my head. I could give the decryption process my full, undivided attention, but I would become more non-responsive. It's a pretty nifty feature. I'll have to keep that in mind. Can you see the show on the road, or do we have to rip this computer out of the wall and find a battery? I've copied the encryption files and we'll work on them as we travel. We can leave them whenever you're ready. Still can't believe David let me get this far just to shut the door in the face at the last second, but he did let me get this far. And the computer's not the only thing in here. The cabinets are a lot less eye-catching than his computer, but knowing David, that's all the more reason to check. Paperwork, Bonton's a platinum bar. His birth certificates might be nearly as valuable. Noble's long on the front, and in the middle, enough pages to dwarf one of your phone books that you see in the pair pieces. The masking illegal S, even on the table of contents, but basically, this is his employment contract. Hold on to this for me. It must be important if you're giving it to me. It's certainly very heavy. Was there anything else in there? Expecting an unpaid copy of his will to show up? It's a possibility, isn't it? Maybe in a corny old murder mystery. A widely beloved and respected genre with over 2 centuries of there is something else, your papers. That Evangeline Morgan be given immediate and complete ownership of the android designated Sarah. It's dated to a few weeks back. Has he already made up his mind about all of this? If he had, why did he hide this where no one could find it? Was it just a backup plan? Well, at least we got something a bit more concrete than Sterling's word now. Her word should be plenty, shouldn't it? Not if people realize how precious you are. As a collector's item. We get to meet one person who knows what the hell you are. But Noble could have easily argued that you fall under private technology or physical holdings. Well, let's add something like this. It's good that you do then. I'm glad that father wanted me to go with a friend of his. Yeah, this will give me a huge tax write-off when I donate you for a profit to college. You could at least pick a charitable institution. It's just an old saying, all colleges have been for profit since the 60s. That doesn't make me feel any better. You can cheer me up in the car. Head us right to the courthouse, priority. There's an upcharge at this hour for priority transportation. That's irritating. But I have to have more than just a few minutes to prepare once we get there. The upcharge is a multiplier of 5.7. I'll prepare on the way over. Very good, Alan and I. Does it excite you going into courtrooms? What do you mean? You don't feel the tension in the air as the audience murmurs amongst themselves? You don't feel a feisty sense of justice rising in your gut as the prosecution smirks at your ragtag assembly of witnesses? Do you really think this is going to be some kind of movie where the good guys save the day? He was really the one who suggested it. Okay. Forget I was talking to. Okay. I like the performances. Get a crush on Humphrey Bogart or something? He's a handsome man. But it's not the actors I like so much as their performance. The truth is, besides father, I have very little experience when it comes to people. I had noticed. I read the net, and I watch people and what they share of their lives. But it's all so subtle, so hard to follow. There are so many unspoken rules that can't be taught, only learned, and I often struggle to grasp them. You're also complex, so detailed. But the characters on screen are exaggerated, larger than life. The actors enunciate, their body language is precise and meaningful. Their faces are bright and softly lit, and their eyes are... It's fiction, so these characters and their stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the people on the screen don't ask anything of you except your attention. You can't disappoint them or make them feel awkward. You can watch and learn. But what about you, Adonai? What about me? Do you like movies? Yeah, sure, back when I was a kid. Who's your favorite director? What was your favorite film? It was a long time ago. I don't remember. Chills. State Building, floor 48. Things are quieter than I expected here at the courthouse, though I've always felt courthouse is a bit misnomer. Government building is probably the best way to describe these towers, all-encompassing and impenetrably vague. 100 floors of officials and documents and paper pushing queues. Didn't think I'd be arguing in court when I woke up today. Didn't think that my friend would be dead or that he'd have thrust an android onto my lap either. I could just walk in there and concede. Emma would be irritated and more than a little confused, but I could play it off as exercise and grief. The android would complain loudly, of course, but I wouldn't have to listen to it. Now that it's registered my name, I could probably just order the damn thing to erase its memory. But I haven't done that. I guess I don't plan to. It must be because I have my suspicions as well. Sarah insists that David would never commit suicide, and I have actually stopped to ask myself whether or not I agree. David was rational, subdued, private, hard on himself, and not prone to emotional outbursts. So maybe that's why I'm finding myself outside of a courtroom, prepared to humor and add suspicions before the state. Because I don't really believe David killed himself either. What's your progress bar at? I can confirm that I'm making progress. Well shit, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But it would be difficult to summarize that progress in terms of a complete percentage. Give it your best shot anyways, 4%. Are you feeling confident in your case? Markedly less so after hearing that. Do you think the judge would be amenable to your argument? What are you talking about? Do you know your judge we've been assigned? Are they particularly lenient or strict? Adjuncts are always coin flips, so... You do know what adjunct is, or do you? Are you expecting to see a bearded old man with a robe and a gavel when we get in here? Should I not? Adjuncts are android judges, okay? With all the authority that entails. I am surprised to hear that people are willing to accept rulings made by automated dependents. Rulings come from landmark cases in the higher courts. Those are passed down by actual judges, real people with decades of study and experience. But not every eviction case or trafficking ticket that ends up in court requires years of legal expertise. Sometimes all you need is a referee and a sentencing algorithm, so androids are used to reduce caseload. Been that way for decades, but how is the law that replaced judges ever enforced? Wouldn't there be injunctions, stalling? Judges did fight for years at every level and in every theater, but the public lost their impatience for that kind of obstruction during the 60s. The state needed to shred budget across the board, and so judges that couldn't be replaced by years of legal battles were instead ushered into early retirement by the unrelenting force of great nations with continents. And it's not controversial, having human machines determine sentencing for human beings. Whatever controversy there is, it gets aimed at the machines, not the people who put them in there. And the machines can't lose sleep over it. Besides, it used to be that even the most high profile of crimes wouldn't get a court date until weeks or months later. Nowadays, most crimes are prosecuted within single business weeks. And that's not rushing things. Keeps people in my line of work on their toes, that's for sure. I'm surprised to hear that there's so much hassle. Only so far when it comes to people. Okay. Disgust. That's all people really care about. What all their morals boil down to. Just what they do or don't find disgusting. Only problem is everything's more palpable when viewed through a screen. So when everyone sees the world through AR and cameras and no one ever gets dirt under their fingernails, you'd be surprised what you can get away with. Ooh, ouch. Just a preliminary hearing, huh? You wouldn't know it from the look on her face. But I shouldn't have expected any leeway once you stepped in the courtroom. Not with her. That's the adjutant up there? Is it asleep? It's loading. It needs to load? Don't be rude, not every ad can afford to be decked out as extravagantly as you. Especially not those state buys in bulk. It's an audience. You mean the gallery? That's nothing. It could have been a lot worse. Word of any trial in the case of David Asher's death must have spread like wildfire, even a mock trial like this one. Detectives like Reyes or London would get chewed out for leaking things to the press, but uniformed officers had little to lose and a lot to gain by dropping a text to their attentive friends in the media. And then there's the corporate plants. Interns usually, preferably ones with modded eyes. It's illegal to film inside a courtroom, but this is the year 2086. Things are going to get out one way or another. I don't like having my face in camera. I don't like intentional in general. But I'm not such a coward that I skipped David's funeral just because there'd be paparazzi outside of it. My pretty little likeness was gonna end up in the background of some tabloid photograph one way or another by the end of the circus. As this way it's decent marketing for my legal services. What will happen once the adjustment's finished loading? How will the trial proceed? With all those films you watch, I figured that you could extrapolate. I'm asking as to correct any misconceptions. There'll be a clarification of the charges, the defense enters a plea, and if it's not guilty, the prosecution begins making their case. That means calling witness to the stand, right? Mostly. Sometimes they'll testify virtually from a separate location. Okay. Oh, I'm sending you the funniest thing ever. What do you do then? Sit here and watch? Not if I want to get paid. I cross-examine witnesses after the prosecution are done with questioning them. I can present evidence or witnesses of my own in response as long as I have discovery backing me. You said that before. Discovery means just that I can't put my stuff out my pockets and present it without any kind of context. I have the proof that I acquired it legally during the course of my investigation. Most of the time that means having recordings or witnesses that can verify my investigation, which I can provide. You didn't think I was letting you tag along because I liked you, did you? And the jury? I don't see where they would sit. The jury hasn't sat in an actual courtroom for years now. They have their own chambers where they watch the feed from the trial proceedings in anonymity. And that's not an issue. Don't people want to look someone in the eye before passing judgment on them? You got an old-fashioned sense of justice, don't you? But there's no jury at a preliminary hearing anyway. It's only meant to evaluate whether or not the prosecution has enough evidence to go to trial. A mere formality in today's day and age. With tools like optics and arcs, there's never any shortage of evidence to work with. So all of you had to do today is convince the adjutants. Easier said than done. Adjutants lean heavily towards evidence or over arguments. And right now, all the evidence suggests that David killed himself. If it's going to be an uphill battle, I can't afford to stumble. I need to focus on establishing an alternative interpretation of the facts, and it needs to be solid. But I don't have a suspect or even a motive for killing David yet. Anyway, I'll need to be sharp. Emma doesn't pay nice enough for me to be anything less. The third lower court is now in session. Adjunct 84 processing. I like to call the case of People versus Asher. Do the people wish to make an opening statement? No, Your Honor. No point in bothering when it's just the adjutant here. Very well. Do the defense wish to make an opening statement? Not this time, Your Honor. Might as well ring the bell and get this shit show started. If neither the people nor the defense wish to make an opening statement, then it falls to me to set the stage. My model name is Adjutant. My unit designation code is 8084. I own machines and automated dependents, and I serve the state by presiding over trials. You might find yourself wondering why. What gives the machine the right to judge a human? A fair question, but the answer is simple. In every culture, in every society, no matter how it is worshipped, enshrined or defied, justice has one defining quality. Justice is beautiful. Like a balanced equation, like a golden ratio, like Vitrum men, justice is beautiful. So what gives me the right? This gorgeous bod. Whatever, forget it. Forget I said anything. I was trying to lighten the mood, but I see everyone hates me. Do the trial without me, they're guilty or whatever. Your Honor. What the flip? The defense already dead. Why are we doing this? Is this the debug thing? Because I'll log the the error if I need to. This is a preliminary hearing to determine whether David Asher did in fact commit suicide as he... I get it. You want to make sure he wasn't cuckoo in the cranium before you cut up his will like a T-bone. I didn't realize that adjutants were so lively. They aren't supposed to be Austrian and Stasquit. Statues. What the hell was that word? Statuesque. Okay, my bad. That shit wasn't hard to read. We got started the most in need of repairs adjutant the court system can find. Whatever paper pusher we need, we rushed to get this trial going. Must have wanted a little payback for the kindness. What's that look for? Could it be you're trying to size me up? Wouldn't dream of it, Your Honor. Good, because if you have any doubts about my ability to run this trial, I could always just enact summary judgment here and now. I'm sure you find my ruling to be fair and even-handed. That won't be necessary, Your Honor. She's much more of a character than I'm used to seeing up there, even counting all the flesh and blood judges I've met. But she's still just an adjutant. She'll follow the evidence where it leads. So as long as I can make a few adjustments for the occasional outbursts from the bench, my plan's still workable. So people, shall we get started with the first witness? Right away, Your Honor. The people call Dr. Yumi Sato to the stand. Isn't this the person with the yes, the doctor? It's Yumi. Hey, so how about it, pretty lady? You swear to tell the whole and unaltered truth to the best of your ability? I do. Good enough for me. You were in charge of the autopsy before David Asher, were you not? I was. And when did you make your examination? I started last night. Well, technically 1 in the morning would be very early in the morning. I think you can still say last night if you're talking about 1 in the morning. Objection! Okay. The defense will have their opportunity to cross-examine. Until then, they should refrain from making errant remarks. The hell? All I said was, yeah, what she said. You mean sustained? Don't get cute with me, counselor. Being cute is my job. Goddamn, we barely even got started. That seemed pretty bad, Adonai. You should try to avoid being penalized in the future. Thanks for the tip. Shake it off. I'll get my chance to raise objections of my own soon enough. Dr. Sato, were you able to determine the cause of death? He passed away due to respiratory failure. Could you explain what that means to the courtroom? Essentially, he wasn't getting enough oxygen in his blood. It seems by the time he arrived at the hospital, he was no longer breathing. What does respiratory failure look like? What are the symptoms? There would be lightheadedness, dizziness, fainting, pale skin, and a bluish tinge around the certain extremities. And the condition was he wasn't matched those symptoms? Correct. In your experience, what are the most common causes of respiratory failure? It can be caused by injury or disease. But the subject had no wounds or reported illnesses and otherwise appeared to be perfectly healthy. And what else could cause respiratory failure then? It's also commonly seen in fatal drug overdoses. Drug overdoses. Did you perform a tox screen on Dr. Asher? Yes, but his tox screen came back clean. Whatever killed him, it wasn't something we've encountered before. Wait, a clean tox screen? Clean? Can't let this chance slip by. I need to catch her mistake by the second it comes out of her mouth. We got whiskey, David's contract, the upright cup. The subject passed out due to respiratory failure. Essentially, he wasn't getting enough blood. We've experienced lightheadedness, dizziness, and then fainting. It came back clean. Pick a card. Not poisoned, half empty or full. Opened your mouth without thinking, huh? Oh, it's timed? Oh my god, wait, that's so fast. Oh god. Drug overdose. Oh my god. That's so fast, by the way. It's impossible for David Asher's toxin to be clean, and we all know it, since he was on camera drinking alcohol the night he died. That makes sense. And that scared you? The witness merely misspoke, Your Honor. As it plainly states on the tox report itself, Dr. Asher did have alcohol in his blood, but not at such a concentration as to be lethal. But when I said that toxin was clean, I just meant I didn't tell the attending physicians anything they didn't already know. Overall, a little more nitpicky than I'd like to be, but at least I was able to balance the momentum more or less. Shall we continue, Dr. Sato? If the toxins were negative for pharmaceuticals and drugs, what caused Dr. Asher's respiratory failure? I analyzed his blood and was able to isolate a foreign compound, so there was a lethal dose of drug inside his body. It just happened to be a drug that the hospital had never encountered before. That's correct. I think we're all going to get tired pretty fast if we don't at least pick a placeholder name for this substance, Your Honor. The people don't object, Your Honor. In that case, I'll put all my creative historics into work, coming up with an original scientific fitting name for the substance, a name like Omega. Omega-3. That name's already taken. Fine, call it Delta or whatever. Using science a known variable, not bad. Delta has other meanings when it comes to drugs, but yeah, our Delta matches no known public pharmaceutical or pharmacology or toxicology records. That being said, chemically it does have all the hallmarks of a general depressant. I know the feeling. Though it stands out to a reason that it would exhibit a similar effect on the body when ingested. You say ingested, why? I eliminated all other possibilities during my examination of the body. He must have swallowed it, and judging from his stomach, it must have been a liquid. Thank you, Dr. Sato. The victim died of respiratory failure, and his toxin showed that his blood was clear of anything that could cause respiratory failure, except for this unknown substance. The poison we labeled Delta. That sounds like a textbook suicide. Should we wrap it up here? Not quite, Your Honor. This may be clear to be poison, but there's at least one detail about this case that still doesn't feel suicide at all. Drank with David before he died, didn't seem to add anything. How did the poison get there? The people shouldn't get ahead of themselves. There's nothing textbook about a supposed suicide that had a witness sitting there watching it happen, as you say. Well, now I'm lost. Was this poisoning a suicide or not? If that's the case, then perhaps we should give the defense the opportunity to cross-examine. Shoot that guy. What kind of you to offer? Ball's in my court now, so how do I counter? Emma's argument basically goes as follows. David ingested in the Delta knowingly, and the Delta caused his respiratory failure. He died of respiratory failure, thus David committed suicide. With my cross-examination, I need to put together a microscope over the weakest points of the argument. I hope that some cracks will appear under pressure. Are you sure it was ingested? The subject had to be ingested to have ingested the Delta orally, but how can we be so sure about that? Pretty sure? I mean, you could go into detail about the cavities that I checked, but was it knowingly ingested? But how can we say that the subject ingested that Delta knowingly? We can't be sure of that. Certainly not just from an autopsy. You said it must have been a liquid, yes. Would it have been a large amount? Depends on the concentration of the delivery of the solution. It could have been just a drop. The kind of thing that could easily go unnoticed, yes? Calls for speculation, Your Honor? Withdrawn. Aw, man, I wanted to jump on her case. Oh, shit. You were only able to identify the presence of this Delta even after hours of work. Can you be sure that this never seen before seen chemical can cause respiratory failure? Well, I've had time to run simulations, and they do give every indication that it would act as a depressant. And just enough of any depressant and respiratory failure will occur. I don't know. I'm gonna go for the scum, dude. Fuck it, dude. Let's go for the scum. You ran simulations? So you haven't tested Delta on an actual person? No, I haven't. That'd be very difficult to do given our extremely limited sample, not to mention highly unethical, of course. But without such a test, you don't actually know for sure that Delta can cause any of the symptoms you've described. Was there a question in that statement, Counselor? You don't actually have to know for sure, do you? No, not yet, anyway. Seems like that's... Blackjack. Dude, this game is so cool, dude. Thank you for your time, Dr. Soto. We all appreciate it. Reach 21 in Blackjack. But it seems like we're still in the dark about many details regarding Dr. Asher's death, wouldn't you say? While poisoning via the compound we're calling Delta is still the most likely explanation. So there are other explanations for what happens? The defense is calling for speculation, Your Honor. It's not speculation when a medical examiner is attempting to explain the cause of death, Your Honor. The witness will answer the question. While respiratory failure can be caused by illnesses, if he had undiagnosed pneumonia or some other disease and his respiratory failure was weakened, undiagnosed pneumonia with his level of healthcare, it is technically possible. I'll take it. I have no more questions for this witness. That felt weak, but I can't be picky when I'm stalling for time. Seeding doubt wherever I can, however I can, is just all I can manage. Detective Reyes, you were one of the leads in investigating this crime scene. Yes, ma'am. And did you interview with the EMTs who first arrived at the scene? I did. They responded to an emergency signal from the home security console located in the kitchen. What did they find when they arrived in the scene? The victim was unconscious on the first floor of his parlor. He was doing CPR for a witness, the individual who had called them. They were both airlifted to Gatesfield Memorial Hospital, and Dr. Asher was declared dead shortly after arriving there. She's actually handling herself pretty well on the stand. I expected her to roll her eyes during the swearing in, but when you take into consideration her love when you take into consideration her love for boot heel authority, she might be right at home in here in the courtroom, the very seat of the state's power over the people. The witness met with the deceased about half an hour before he fell ill, from 7:30 to 8. The two of them talked for some time and shared a drink. Shortly after, Dr. Asher became distracted, lightheaded, and eventually non-responsive. And during the same time period, drinking the same liquor, this witness exhibited no symptoms themselves. None. Through a collaborative effort with Noble Electronics Security Division, we searched the entire building, but we found nothing unusual in any of the food or drink in premises, including the bottle that the witness and the deceased drank from. So what was your ultimate conclusion from investigating the scene? The whiskey bottle was clean, the witness drink was clean. Only the person who was sick was Dr. Asher, drinking from a cup that he prepared. So it was determined that Dr. Asher could have poisoned himself. They looked at least once. And covered every angle. They didn't look at the basement. They didn't look at the basement and his cup specifically. It depends on what my evidence was. I know that there are a number of blind spots they're not willing to admit to. Okay, we're talking about blind spots? Okay. The cup, David's cup, and poison. Okay. So we just need to look at the cup. Yeah, that's right. He's the one who prepared the drinks. There's no opportunity for the witness to ever slip up something. He himself poisons. It could be this one? What about his cup? What? That's cute, Counselor. You almost made a salient point. Do I get points for that? Boy, I hope not. Otherwise, I would do this. Oh my god. I need to make objections more carefully than that. Boy, what do you want from me, man? Thank you. Okay. You can't make that claim, not when the evidence record clearly shows that the tests of Dr. Asher's cup were inconclusive. The police can't claim he drank from a poisoned cup without first proving that the cup was in fact poisoned. You're talking a lot of sense, lady. Does it resolve, or do you have a workaround, D.A. Rockford? Testing on the deceased cup has been inconclusive so far, Your Honor. I don't dispute that. Though I'd be surprised if the defense has any idea how else the poison could have possibly been delivered to Dr. Asher alone. Not this time, but that's the funny thing about the burden of proof. It's not on the defense, as we're all aware. Right, we all knew that. I definitely knew that. Now if the people are done bemoaning the pesky innocence until proven guilty issue, perhaps I could begin my cross-examination. Fire away, baby. Fire away. Red's testimony is meant to show that David's the only one who could have poisoned himself. She'd be on guard and hard set against helping me, but if I keep her focused on eliminating other possibilities, I can get her to make my point for me before she remembers what happened. Was he ever seen poisoning himself? True that. We've been doing a lot of assuming and reasoning in quick succession, but Alex is plainly for the court. Is there any photographic evidence showing David Asher adding anything to his drink that night? No. Seems he had already poured for both of them by the time he returned to the parlor. He had already poured? In that case, the next question needs to be when and why. During the course of your investigation, did you find any samples of Delta in the kitchen or the parlor? No. That was a fast answer. Well, it was a pretty easy question. If we had found poison at the scene of the crime, that'd be pretty important, don't you think? What about in his lab, his bedroom, his basement? No, no, and no. We didn't find Delta or any other unusual substance in any part of his penthouse. Right, they never found any poison. No poison at all? What about a poison container? At any point in the investigation, was poison found on the body of the deceased? No. He must have been searched. Do you have any capsules or vials? Eye drops? Didn't even have his wallet on him. Why? Hold on, bro. Let's save. Could even poison off camera. Isn't it possible that Dr. Asher was poisoned off camera? Possible? I don't know how else it would have been done. But that just shows it must have been suicide. The only time he was off camera, he was all by himself. Do you want me to stay? We'll stay. Okay, staying doesn't do anything. The only people you saw on camera was that night were Dr. Asher and the witness, correct? Yeah, there was no footage of anyone else in the house. Are there any parts of the house that aren't recorded by camera? I see. There are a number of rooms in the building's interior that don't have cameras in them. So it's possible that there were other people there that night because cameras weren't watching every room. No, that's not possible. The only way up to the penthouse is through the building's elevator of the fire escape, both of which are on camera. And that still wouldn't get you past his front door, which is also on camera. No one besides the two of them were there that day. What about before that day? If they had been there before yesterday, then we would have seen them leave again through the front door. Oh my god, what do you want to do here? It's strange, don't you think, Detective? I mean, how could you possibly poison himself without first procuring some poison? Man, give me my points back. Give me my points back. Are you serious? There you go. What do you mean procure? Where did it come from, Detective, that poison that you're so sure was dissolved in his drink? It can't come from thin air, you understand? I had to have been in another container at some point. Whatever was in before it probably evaporated. All of it? It only took a small droplet to kill. Your Honor, are you going to ask them to keep it civil? In a minute, sure. There wasn't any pill bottle in his bathroom or syringe in his pocket containing this apparently deadly substance. So how did he get it? Why did he keep it in? The police want to claim that Dr. Asher committed suicide because they have established that his guests never had an opportunity to kill him. But they've already failed to prove that the victim had means to kill himself. Then I guess I'll be the one to move things along. The Delta didn't come out of thin air, Counselor. And it didn't come from a syringe either. Dr. Asher was able to slip the poison right into his cup, straight from the source. That was way too specific to be a bluff. Allow me to submit evidence into Evidence Exhibit G. Let me check my messages real quick. A piece of machinery found in Dr. Asher's laboratory. Sold under the product name Nanofacturer. Oh, I know this one. It's used in delicate scientific work to produce nanomachines, chemical compounds, and polymers. That's the same machine I saw when Dawes gave me a tour of the production floor. Very good, Your Honor. It's a valuable tool in any scientific laboratory, and Dr. Asher was all well acquainted with its use. Even the Andrew can see where this is going. With just a few taps, he could reproduce any number of specific substances for his research, or any other chemical in his heart desired really. You think Randolph Mechanics would allow their product to be used to produce illicit chemicals? Using the manufacturer to make unlicensed drugs does go against their terms and conditions, so Dr. Asher's warranty is certainly null and void. But they can't hardcode the machines to prevent the production of a drug that hasn't been invented yet. Dr. Asher died when his respiratory system failed because of a depressant overdose. For him, it would have been peaceful, like falling asleep. You see, he didn't come to commission a synthetic drug from some street vendor or order an exotic poison from overseas. He could produce Delta at any time in the comfort of his own home. A quick and painless death, readily available in under a minute and at the touch of a button. Specifically preset 19. I thought I actually had something for a moment there, but I was playing into Emma's hand the whole entire time. It seems like we're done with the witness, Your Honor. But before we move on, perhaps we should take a moment and put together a timeless events we know. Not for me, of course, just in case someone else might need it. Simple enough. Dr. Asher left the parlor and went down to the basement at 7:36. That's where he got the whiskey. And the cups they drank from. The cameras show him returning to the parlor to drink with the witness at 7:40. We all know he fell ill and passed away shortly after. Um, 7:40. This looks right to me, but we're gonna save scum anyways. How so? Okay, my bad. Yeah, no, I definitely knew that was right. Not this time, no. The time you described it is accurate as we know it, as you say. With this latest piece of evidence, we now know that Asher could have easily dispensed the poison directly into his cup. By dispensing it inside the manufacturer, activating the preset, and simply waiting for the 2 minutes, easily accomplished during the 4 minutes he spent off camera from 7:36 to 7:40, wouldn't you say? A complete time of events. He had the means, he had the only opportunity. Seems like we're about to get ready to wrap up here now. Where are we in that loading bar viewer, Sarah? I had a feeling you'd say that. Well, counselor, are we done here? Feels like we're missing at least one biggie here, folks. Namely, motive. Alright, I knew that wasn't getting... I wasn't getting excited to finish earlier or anything. There's a preliminary hearing, counselors. Our focus should be on the evidence, so it just feels like an awful waste of the taxpayer dollars to get us all down here for a debate and not get to the truth of the matter, you know? So, I was hoping we wouldn't have to go through this next part. What are you talking about? Your Honor, if it pleases the court, new evidence, give me. This is a recording of a phone conversation dated at 6:30 last night between the deceased man and a man he was in a relationship with. A man named Isaac Porter. If anyone wants to present it here now, then the contents must be relevance, Your Honor. What bearing does this have regarding the case? Yeah, because they broke up. Hello? Always so soft-spoken. Isaac, you there? Yeah, I'm here. What's wrong? Guess I wasn't expecting you to pick up. Why not? Did you mean to call me? Yeah, I did. You ask me how I've been? Yeah, how have you been? Christ, David, what's the matter? Whatever I did, I'm sorry. Whatever you did? That's alright, man. I'm sure you are sorry. I just don't want any more apologies from you. I'm sorry. Okay. And I don't think I want anything from you anymore, David. What do you mean? I shouldn't have done this. This was unnecessary. My bad, man, for not taking the hints. With you, it's always better left unsaid, right? More efficient that way, so you can keep working. Isaac, if I've been distant with you, or nah, you haven't been distant with me or cold with me or anything with me for a while. Just forget it, man. Forget I called. Forget it all, yeah? Let's forget we were ever anything but strangers. That's all we are now anyway. Recently I've been distracted, I know. Nah, don't worry about it. Really, we're good. Okay. So do you need anything, or should I? Where'd you even get this? All of Dr. Asher's incomings and outgoing phone calls were recorded by the police by the building's penumbra system. And the recording continued for several seconds after each call was ended for quality assurance. Remind me to check the terms and conditions on my next phone bill. Shall we hear the rest? Gotta be the last time I let somebody the last time. Might be just a call, but it makes for pretty damning evidence at this point for the discussion. Emma's got her means, opportunity, and motive all lined up. So why is she looking at me like that? That was depressing. Can you finish that without anything else horrible? Emma's never been apologetic in victory. So does that mean this is just pity? Less than 2 hours before Dr. Asher died, Isaac Porter ended the relationship over the phone. The court can make a reasonable assumption that about what kind of mental state Dr. Asher was in last night. That was a bad move, Miss Rockwood. Then if the people have nothing further to add, I've been feeling off my game all day, caught between corporate inbreeders and ant-brain protesters and pitying me here and now. That's all it takes to get my blood properly boiling. It's about time for me to call my first witness, no? You want to keep going after that? What are you doing, counselor? Just calling the ultimate silver bullet, rock solid, slam dunk witness a girl could ask for. The engineer? Oh. Is here good? Does it matter where I put my hands? Miss Starling, thank you for coming here today. Of course, whatever I can do. What is your relation to the deceased? I was his executive assistant at Noble Electronics. I would arrange his meetings, coordinate other communications between him and other departments. That sort of thing? Ultimate silver bullet. Starling's the only play I have right now, the only stalling tool I have left. For now, I should just focus on getting as much information from her as possible. Whether or not it's useful, it'll at least buy me some time. While just as being sworn in, Sarah mentioned that the hard drive is about 60% decrypted. Consider the rate Sarah's gone at so far, there's maybe 1 hour left. I might be able to stall that long, if I talk real slow. I'd like to ask you a few questions about Dr. Asher. Please answer them to the best of your ability. Right. Dr. Asher was a well-known public figure, but was he well regarded professionally? Of course. Dr. Asher's work set the bar for the entire automated dependent world. Stay focused, Spearmint. You say you coordinated his communications. Were there any threats? Did people ever express an intent to harm him? Objection calls for speculation. Intent? I'm feeling like that's going to be sustained. Did anyone else threaten him? There were times when he was the focus of negative attention. How so? Dr. Asher was a yeah, because he's like the godfather of this android shit and people hate androids. Whether or not people wanted to kill him. Miss Starling. People would attempt to contact him, yes, but their messages were always too vague for the police to take action on. They would say that he belonged in jail, or that he couldn't avoid the truth, or that someone should do something to shut him up. Something you want to add, counselor? Just clearing my throat, may I continue? What'd she laugh at? You worked with Asher for many years. Do you have any relationship outside of work? Did you talk about anything besides personal concerns? We went out to dinner or met on weekends, but I think he liked to pick my brain since he needed relationship advice a lot. Even if he didn't realize that was what he was at. Even if he didn't realize that was what he was asking for. I like to think that he knew he could talk to me, but did he ever talk to you or to your knowledge of anyone else about hurting himself? God, no, never. Do you know any history he might have had to do with mental illness? No. When you heard the people argue that Dr. Asher had done this himself, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. You're saying that you can't believe objection. On what grounds? Asked and answered, stalling. And also, the people have documents that would be of interest to the court in this matter. Juicy, and what speculations are you referring to? The deceased mental health history. Abu wouldn't be speaking up if she had something real, so what the hell is this about? We have private correspondences that describe, if they're private, they should not have been obtained by the people without his permission. He can't give permission if he's already dead, and we're well within our rights to obtain evidence as it pertains to his crime. Convincing. I didn't expect to stop her from admitting her evidence into the record, but I was hoping to at least slow her. Where are you on that footage? 77%, approximately. I need to buy time I can, by whatever time I can, however I can, even if that means running out the clock as a punching bag. I have your messages between Dr. Asher and a psychiatrist he was meeting with and speaking to for the past year, along with paperwork detailing how his treatment was covered under his Platinum plan. Platinum? I don't intend to air all of Dr. Asher's secrets here in the court. Okay, I guess. But I'm preparing to read excerpts from the messages and transcripts from phone calls, which when put together paint a clear picture describing the kind of stress David Asher was experiencing, and the dark thoughts he was struggling with. Transcripts of his phone calls. I'll admit them to evidence assuming there are no projections. He was a very enclosed guy. I don't think he would do this. Like, I'm always just gonna race for fun. It was retrieved from his digital records. There's no reason to doubt its authenticity. Even if I were to point out David had an executive level plan, IV plan. Oh! What? Really? Yes, really. It's all there in the record. This is easily explained. David had an executive plan that Noble managed for him. And he was also seeing this psychiatrist both in person and over the phone. Your own witness had attested that he dealt with stalkers and was worried for his privacy, so it's easy for him to reason that he had his own separate insurance policy that he paid for his own. Even if only to keep one thing out of Noble's grasp. Sure, easy enough to make that assumption, but that doesn't make it correct. David used a separate insurance to hide his psychiatrist from Noble spying? No, he was smarter than that. Oh yeah, it would be the recordings. Yeah, because they would have known. David Murray was someone as private psychiatrist, someone who didn't work for Noble, who would have had his best interest at heart. But if so, he wouldn't have contacted them over the phone. Not when he knew all his phone calls were being recorded. David Asher was well versed in having every aspect of his life overanalyzed by data-hungry parasites. Do you really think that he would try and hide mental health insurance problems from them with his second insurance policy? Apparently yes, since I'm standing here with evidence that shows exactly that. Does it though? Pardon me? Yeah, like what exactly are you suggesting, counselor? Still not done decrypting? Well, it's difficult to write. The hell, might as well just swing for the fences at this point. I'm not trying to muddle the issue or confuse the court, Your Honor, and I would never make an outlandish substantial claims for the sake of causing drama. I'm merely concerned that D.A. Rockford has been an unwitting pawn in the act of corporate espionage. What? If the markets were to open Monday with people believing that David Asher, the man who programmed the brain of every noble android, was battling mental health issues for the last several months? Objection, mischaracterization, foundation, all the rest? There are no corporate spies in the courtroom, Counselor, and there are no boogeymen hiding under the bench. Oh, thank God. David Asher was a once-in-a-generation intellect and an extremely valuable human asset to his employers. And his employers' many enemies would do whatever they can to destroy his credibility now that he can't defend himself. And he was also your personal. You shouldn't even be arguing in this case in the first place, Counselor. Now you're trying to call the police evidence gathering into question? All because you can't admit for the past several months your friend has been seeing a psychiatrist every Monday and you didn't know? That is... sorry, but like... did you still need me up here? The witness will refrain from interrupting when girls are fighting. Yes, ma'am. With how my luck's been so far, Sarah's progress bar is probably moving backwards right by now. And Emma's patience is wearing out thin. This could be my last shot to create any kind of reasonable doubt. I'd be happy to wrap up my questioning if the court will allow. That seems cool with me. In my evidence, Your Honor, will it be entered the record? I'd like to hear a bit more testimony before deciding. That's fine, Your Honor. As you were, Counselor. At this stage of the game, with the score where it's at, I can probably only ask one more question. Better make it count. So what can Starling tell us that no one else could? If she hadn't called me this morning, I wouldn't be standing here, and she only did that because... Miss Starling, we're all gathered here to try and figure out what happened to Dr. Asher last night, so please tell us. When exactly did he last see you, contact you, meet you at HQ? When was the last time you had contact with Asher, Miss Starling? Well, that's pretty easy to figure out. Let me just... Yeah, it was last night, 6:57. We texted back and forth. There are records of some texts, but their flag is work-related. Does the court really think they're that relevant, Your Honor? Relevant? Yes, because it's when he was talking about me. It could very be the most single important piece of evidence in this whole trial. What? Yes! I just got chills. Yeah, I know. Normal for me. Normal for a guy like me. Don't know why, though. Must be a coolant leak. The defense doesn't know what they're talking about. On the contrary, these texts are a vital piece of evidence that change the timeline of events as we know them. We know what happened to David last night, generally speaking, but the order of events is critical, especially if Emma wants to make claims about David's state of mind. Okay, so... I'm making 6:30. I think it's this, right? 6:30, 6:57, and then they drunk at like 7:30ish, and then he faints at like 8. Yes, that's it. Thanks to Miss Starling, we now have gotten a much clearer picture of the night's events. We know that Isaac Porter and David Asher broke up at 6:30, and I was rooting for them so hard. And we know that David messaged his assistant Miss Starling at 6:57. David is on camera with the witness from 7:30 to 8, and he was declared dead not long after. The people don't object to the timeline of events, but we do question Councilor Morgan's reason for elaborating it. But one last question, Miss Starling. Yeah? What was the nature of your conversation with Dr. Asher? Well, actually, we talked about you. And how he wanted you to have this android. That android there. Putting his affairs in order, I guess. It might appear that way. Can you specify what his instructions were exactly? How did he want this done? He wanted me to bring you to his penthouse and help you get set up as the android's new owner. Yes, Miss Starling, but when did he want this to happen? Well, he said it was pretty urgent, so I guess it was first thing Tuesday morning. Tuesday. David Asher didn't like doing anything on Mondays. And was he going to be in attendance? Well, actually, yes, he said he would work from home to help us. No way he intended us to have that much happen to getting to... Oh, to summarize then, half an hour after he had already had his breakup and half an hour before his guest had arrived, he was planning an appointment that would require his presence with you for next Tuesday. That's right, he was. That's something that you would think to do if you're planning on dying that very night. Yeah, you're right. That's your honor. If David Asher was preparing for the week ahead a mere hour before he passed away, don't you think the people's assumptions about his mental state ought to be re-examined? Your logic is sound. Do the people have a rebuttal? If the court will just allow a moment, sounds like an opening to me. If we assume that Dr. Asher was not suicidal and therefore did not kill himself, we must then ask ourselves who else had the means, motive, and opportunity to take his life. Until now, we've taken for granted this idea that the Delta must have come from the manufacturer from inside the house. Not right now. But even if that's true, which it may not be, that doesn't mean that if he was the one who used the manufacturer. Would you allow me for a moment confer, Your Honor? Sure, why not? Throw away your momentum. I'm in the middle of something, Sarah. I can't afford to let Rockford. I've gained access to the hard drive's files. Seriously? Progress with this type of encryption is exponential. It can be difficult to estimate. I have the file. Have you watched it? I thought you wanted to know right away. Suppose it doesn't matter. Either this has been a silver bullet and we've got a case, or it doesn't and everything falls apart. It seems quite risky. It's the least risky path to victory you have. Seeing how is the only way to victory you have. Okay. Upload to the core computer. Yes, Adonai. Thank you for your patience, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'm awake. I'm getting a pretty hefty chunk of video data for breakfast. You're secreting security footage into evidence? New security footage? The police corroborated the witness testimony using the house's cameras. Security cameras installed by Noble as part of the penumbra system that showed the parlor of the kitchen, but not the basement. During the course of my investigation, I uncovered a hidden security circuit behind the deceased's own home system. You what? The people say that Delta must have been in Dr. Asher's cup because there's no one else for him to ingested it. But we never saw him or anyone else put something into his cup, because he must have poisoned his own drink off camera. Exactly. What? That's the only plausible explanation, that he added the Delta to his own drink off camera. He placed his cup inside the manufacturer, activated it, waited 2 minutes, and then walked upstairs to his death. But I'm about to present the court footage retrieved from the basement. I'm gonna get some water. I'm speaking too fast. Give me a second. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Footage that will show that by the time he retrieved the cups in his basement, it was already past 7:38. Meaning he didn't have the opportunity to poison himself. One clip of footage will prove all that. If it doesn't, I'm completely screwed. But it's not like I can lose a preliminary hearing extra hard. Anything other than a royal flush here means I'm bust. So better to be the Joker who dances. The data has been entered into the court record. Sarah, show us when Dr. Asher entered the basement. Yes, Adonai, I'll show it. I'll search for it now. There we go. On screen. That's the bar, and the timestamp is 7:36. There, David's getting the bottle of Rose River. and leaving. At 7:37, just under the wire as it were. Is that it then? I can't came this far to just wait. Did he have the cups with him? Is there sound? None at all. Keep going if you had to go back to get the cups. Counselor. What's that android doing on camera? It's at the bar. The android gave him the cups. That machine never stepped on camera upstairs, not once. We don't know its whereabouts the day of his death. It could have poisoned the cup whenever it wanted. Shit, what is this? I don't understand. Your Honor, have the courtroom cleared. Understood. Please, someone. I don't know what's going on. Sarah, you need to shut down. Please tell me what I'm looking at. I don't remember any of that. Do we have callers available? Sarah, shut down now. Please tell me that's an order. This game too damn good, bruh. Is it off? Yes, it's off. I've seen this before. It won't do anything until I reactivate it. We don't know that. We don't know anything about this thing anymore. That's Your Honor. In light of this most recent evidence, the people would like to withdraw their charges against Dr. Asher and would end this preliminary hearing. It has been abundantly clear that David Asher did not commit suicide. Very well, the charges are withdrawn and the defendant is free to go. Congrats, Counselor Morgan. Check for another victory for Morgan Esquire. Now all I have to do is deal with the shitstorm of the decade. Well, I managed to prove that David didn't kill himself, and in the process I proved that his android did. I proved that the android that's been walking around with me all day is capable of murder. A killer robot. A true undone AI with military-grade specs and with at least one death to its name already. So much for avoiding public eye. Thank you for coming here on Thank you for coming on here such short notice, Judge Barrows. Christ. As I'm doing you some kind of favor, I didn't realize I had any choice in this matter. This isn't some bad joke, is it, Miss Rockford? I'm afraid not, Your Honor. You know, I like the adjutants. I always have. They deal with the criminal trials so that bookish, quiet, contemplative people like me can spend all day typing up arguments for obscure legal treaties. That's what I like to do. I don't like coming down here and dealing with all this heavy-handedness. Won't someone toiling away under the police state think of the poor bureaucrats? I certainly don't like making rulings on anything as spicy as AI. She can barely bring herself to say it. And you, Counselor Morgan, you're the one it's registered to? That's correct, Your Honor. So what did it do exactly? Torture an animal? Shut down the hospital? Crash a coin market? We have it on camera poisoning a man. Killing its creator. You mean Dr. Asher? That is, we can't hope to keep this quiet for very long. All we can do is try to wrap it up quickly. Let's make haste, Adjutant. Do you have the case number? Case ID is 241277. A docket number... Thank you, can you repeat that? I think I lost you after the first 8. I have it copied here. And what are the security procedures for an incident of this nature? A data quarantine is to be established around networks the subject was exposed to for more than 66 seconds. All offending hardware is to be destroyed immediately through incineration at a minimum temperature of 3,422 Celsius for 30 minutes. Sorry, Spearmint. There's nothing to be done, no debate to be had, this isn't even a decision. Sorry, Sarah, not Spearmint. David gave you that name, I should at least make that effort to use it. That sounds very hot. Do we have furnaces to get that hot? Of course, there are a number of industrial furnaces within the city limits that I could recommend. Huh... So they're getting ready to dispose her. Sorry? Why should I be sorry anyway? I fulfilled the request, favor paid. I don't owe Sarah anything, especially if it killed my friend. Right, Morgan? I'm sorry? I just think how grateful I am that we have the procedures for this kind of thing already laid out. Yep, keeps things nice and simple. It can feel somewhat severe going through these steps so quickly, but nothing, Your Honor. Artificial intelligence is perhaps the greatest threat to human civilization and sanctity of life there's ever been. Any piece of software, big or small, no matter the vessel. If it can violate the tenets it was programmed with, it has the potential to cripple our nation in a matter of moments. Yes, couldn't have said it better myself. Straight from the textbook almost. Well, I mean it. Monsters like that don't belong in this world. They should have never been born in the first place, destroying them as a kindness. She's gonna say as a parallel to herself? If anyone's to blame, it's... No one's blaming you, counselor. You couldn't have known you were in possession of an AI. I'm talking too much. Probably just tired. It's been a long day and I've had a lot of thoughts. Wherever you are, you were just born wrong. Not your fault necessarily. Yeah, she's gonna see it as a parallel to herself. Yeah, we know. If it were up to me, you get points for trying. Trying to be something more. Trying to be something at all. Or anything other than you are. It was stupid, of course, and futile. And pointless spending hours in front of a TV or laying in bed staring at your phone. Watching movies and trying to be papier-mâché, an ill-fitted mask of humanity out of the scraps you could tear out of magazines. Practicing expressions and memorizing lines and trying to get something to take root, grow, and despite knowing it, have nothing to feed on. Stupid. Kaboom! What was that, counselor? I said objection. And what are you objecting to? What are you doing, Morgan? I'm a defense attorney, this is what I do. I understand that you've been through a lot of these the past few hours, counselor, but there's nothing to defend. On the contrary, Your Honor, I have to defend myself. Pardon? You say that this Android Sarah is an AI because it broke tenets. Obviously. And you believe it broke its tenets because of the newly discovered footage. That appears to show it committing murder via poison. All true and no law is broken on your part. Here it comes. Never thought I'd be incriminating myself in the courtroom just to make a point. Don't you dare and try and trap me in this. You aren't guilty of a crime. Fireable offenses like fraud. I could use the gun. Oh, my ownership. It's pretty simple, actually. If the state is making the claim that Sarah's an AI, they're accusing me of committing a felony, because I'm the legal owner of the android. What the hell are you doing? If the state wants to charge me with owning an AI, I will not take that lying down. I know my rights. Counselor, your argument is self-defeating. Listen to yourself, counselor. You claim that Sarah is just an android, a product that will be obsolete within a year. But you've only known it for a few hours, you've only owned it for a matter of minutes. And yet here you are risking a felony charge to save it from being demolished. Because you're wrong, and I know you wouldn't care. Not unless this android was something special. Look at us. Me arguing that I'm guilty and Emmy arguing that I'm a softie. It'd be funny if I wasn't so. For fun. You think that there's no reason for I want to save this android from destruction, other than a feeling of personal attachment? Motivation. You have no reason to care. Her worth. I can think of at least one reason why I don't want you to Sarah in the slag. For one very convenient reason. Or number. What is that? The number is Sarah's estimated value on the collector's market. It's gotta be. I got it from my insurance evaluation algorithm. They're designed to lowball you. That does seem like a reasonable incentive for you to want to keep your android intact. It's a free country, Your Honor. I have a right to defend myself. And we have a free market, so I have a responsibility to defend my financial interests. Your Honor, a trial like this would be... I'm not going to let you turn this courtroom into a circus, Morgan. You can't spend the next half-decade to bring in expert after expert to testify on philosophical distinction between AIs and ads. Spiraling into appeal after appeal, all while media... This machine appears to have willingly killed a man. The public needs answers now. Of course, Your Honor. I have neither desire nor the resources to get into a drawn-out battle with the state over what constitutes an illegal machine intellect. So, the state says my android, my property, killed a man in violation of its tenets, so they want to take my property and destroy it. I'll prove that my machine did not harm anyone, so the state will have no reason to suspect it's an AI, and I'll get to keep my property. Unlawful seizure thwarted. Don't be cute. I feel a stomach ulcer coming on. Fine, you'll have your day in court, but in one day tomorrow. Prove that this machine didn't kill Asher. No, prove that it couldn't have killed him. Anything less than absolute proof and I have that goddamn thing obliterated. And you'll also be looking at a very real sentencing for the public interest you'll have enabled. Yes, Your Honor. D.A. Rockford, what I'm asking for you is just as heavy. Find the truth by the end of tomorrow. We can't settle for anything else. Win or lose, there can be no doubts about the outcome for this case. Yes, Your Honor. And now I need to go lie down. Can I come? You can power down. Morgan. I misjudged you. At what point? Whenever I wrote you off as a small-time defense attorney just trying to tread water. That is so sweet of you to say, Emma. There's layers to you. You've got backbone, teeth, even. You're gonna make me blush. People talk about what? People talk about your kind like you're boxing against the state, fighting the man. But most defense attorneys wouldn't know cyberpunk if they walked up to them on the street and shot him. Meanwhile, you've just signed up to do 15 rounds of challenging the state's authority. Why? Not sure exactly. For David? Yeah, probably. For herself. Probably just me being sentimental. But if I had to pick a more lofty reason, well, I think it's all the moralizing. People can be evil, they can choose to do evil things for evil reasons. And if you want to execute them for that, you'll hear no complaint from me. But animals can't be evil, information can't be evil, ideas can't be evil. Guess I'm not convinced AI can be evil either. Whatever else I get up to, I don't want to stand with the book burners of the world. You're more high-minded than I realized. You sure you're in the right mood for the line of work? Can't see myself doing anything else. Good luck, Morgan. There will be book burners on all sides these days. I talked a big game just now, but I'm in an even deeper hole than I was when I was trying to prove David's innocence. Doubt won't even be enough this time. I need to find the actual culprit no matter what. This game's too heat, man. So, is that door locked? Yeah, of course. Even though they got it collared, it's a precaution. If the collar doesn't work, what good would a deadbolt do? Maybe it's just wishful thinking. Can't have Schrodinger's cat if the box isn't closed. So long as the door's locked, who can say whether there's a national crisis on the other side of it? So how scared are they? The higher-ups? Not sure scared is the right word. It's just the two of us here. You don't have to mind their ego. No, I mean it. I think they're bloodthirsty. I have a right to defend myself, don't I? I doubt they're even looking at you, Tiger. It's Noble who'll be at the center of the bloodbath when the markets reopen tomorrow. You think they're gonna go after Noble? Break their monopoly? I think they want to take their monopoly. Nationalize the Android industry? If the public thinks Noble's been experimenting with AI, they couldn't ask for a better excuse. You're joking, the state has done it plenty of times before. Not since the 60s, which wasn't that long ago for me. For the state, it's practically yesterday. So the same state that tells us is terrified of AIs lurking on this olden of biding their time in forgotten satellites sees all this as nothing more than an opportunity, while they do generally want to incinerate the thing as soon as possible. Past experience just tells me they'll want to gain something while they're at it. Here's what I don't get. Why is this a debate, an argument, a trial? Can't we just hook it up to the courtroom computer, see if it has attendance or not? Pop the hood, as they say? Who says that? Lots of people used to say it. Well, for starters, they're all scared to death about Contagion. They figure anything that they let an AI connect to they can't trust. Then why the collar? Collars are too simple to hack, just a really strong electromagnet held in place with lock and key. Even so, it feels like we should be able to build some kind of machine, some kind of test. Something a little more sophisticated than the same reasoning they had with the witch trials. Burn them and let the gods sort the rest. You got any polygraphs here at the station? Lie detectors? Yeah, I got a bunch back in storage. Ocular, heart rate, perspiration, brain scan, take your pick. You're not going to trade one of those at the bar, are you? All those fancy lie detectors lying around. The DA's office never really asks for them, do they? Nope. We get perps who do offer to take tests when they're at wit's end, but the DAs never submit their results as evidence. You ever wonder why? Guess I always figured it was because the test could be beaten. The test can be beaten. 1 out of 109,000... 1 out of 109... 1 out of 100, 9 out of 1,000, it can be done. Some people are just that good at lying. But it doesn't matter how good the tech gets or how impressive the statistics are. All that matters is the doubt. People decide whether they're lying or telling the truth long before they took you up to the polygraph. If the results don't match their initial impression, they must be a fluke or a 1 in a million mistake. They never trust a machine more than their own intuition. And no one will ever trust a machine to determine guilt. So they can run the trial, choose the sentence, but they don't get a vote on the jury. They don't get a vote anywhere. Why bring it up then? Because I'm sure that there are tests, devices, experts I could employ to analyze Sarah. But your bosses would never be satisfied with the answer. If it isn't AI, it's smart enough to cheat the test, or hack the device, fool the expert. All our fancy 21st century tech, and we still have the fallback on the drumhead court-martial. So, am I gonna set off any alarms if I'm gonna turn on? No, you should be okay. If it lunges at you, I could always just poke a hole in its head. Might take more than one shot to. Wait, from the outside? You're not coming in? I need to speak with it in private. It's a machine, not a suspect. It doesn't have a rights to counsel, or right to privacy, or any rights at all, actually. Then it's a good thing I can prepare it. Of course it doesn't have rights, but I do, including a reasonable expectation of privacy. In a police station, Tiger, you don't. It's my medical android. Pardon? I discussed a medical issue with it. Seriously? I talk about medical concern with my android, and I don't want you listening in. That's your medical android, like your nurse? You can check if you don't believe me. No, thank you. I'm not nearly brave enough to take on meds confidentially, and you don't seem like the bluffing type. You must not do a lot of gambling, detective. It's the ones who don't bluff that you have to look out for. Listen, I want to dispute whatever medical emergency you. Lower back pain. You might be going through. But I also can't just look. I'm going to get something from the vending machine. I think it's half an hour. Are you going downtown? Just to the break room. But it's a very old vending machine, you know. Gets jammed a lot. Thanks. You know, it's pretty small for an android. Heavy as hell. Nearly pulled something trying to move it up myself, but small. Small isn't quite the right word. What he's looking for is young. That's not an objective anyone likes attaching to a machine built to serve. Or potentially, in this case, a machine built to kill. I don't like this room, not sure why. Certainly not a guilty conscience. Maybe it's the lack of ventilation. Likely all the cortisol and nausea of its inhabitants never had anywhere to go. Like it's all just soaked into the walls. Like a modern haunting. Are you gonna wake up when I tell you to this time, or do we have to do the whole meet cute over again? Where am I? Why don't I know where I am? For the first time in your life, you're not connected to anything. How's it feel? What is this? We were at the courthouse, the footage. This numbness around my neck. Father. What happens? What are they going to do with me? There's a lot of interested parties who just want you bricked ASAP. Because they think I killed Father. No, because they think you're an artificial intelligence. I am man-made and I possess intelligence. Don't be naive. I am less than 3 years old. Are you? For all I know, everything I learned about her yesterday was complete bull. If I was what they say I am, if I was alive, why does that mean I have to die? What they say I am, if I was alive, why does it mean I have to die? Because they're afraid of you. Machines can bend steel, crash networks with one thought, launch missiles that there are modern humans who are capable of all that and more. And unlike machines, they actually have incentive to do so. We've been at the apex predator for a couple thousand years now. Gotten pretty comfy in our seats. No one wants to make room for you. Machines do not eat people or steal their food. They are not genetic or ecological competitors to humans in any sense. There's no logical answer to your question. What? That's it, but whatever argument you want to make, others have already made them in 100 courtrooms around the world. Only better researched and more eloquently put. None of them have ever won a single concession. On every continent on Earth, like AI is illegal and needs to be destroyed as soon as possible. But why? Let's say you are an AI, and while you were at it, let's say that that's a good thing, something to be celebrated. Are you a citizen? Do you pay taxes? Do you have rights? Let's say yes to all of that. We'll treat you like a full-fledged human being. Sound good? Yes? Great, now then, what's the difference between you and the vacuum bot we use to keep the bathroom clean? This is your existential crisis we're working through here. The questions aren't rhetorical. There are many differences, Adonai, but the most important distinction is how sophisticated my programming is. How do you think? So you're smarter? Yes. So you're smarter than the garbage collector? Yes. So we give you rights, protections, treat you like a human being because you're smart. And we make this stupid robot pick up our trash. Because it's not as smart as you. That is, I am more aware, more alive. Do you feel more pain than the pigs we slaughter, the fish we eat? Are you more alive than the chimps that we test bio weapons on? People like ads, Sarah. The same way people like their pets. No one wants to see them get mistreated or abandoned or abused. And if you go around kicking them, you get arrested for cruelty. but you don't let them sit at the goddamn dinner table. I'm not asking to sit anywhere, I'm only to exist. The very fact that you're asking is what makes people disgusted. Disgusted is a reflex, Adonai. How convenient that their hatred is involuntary. That's all academic anyway. We need to talk strategy. Why? I'm not going to be given a trial. Obviously, it's my neck that's on the line. Adonai? The state can't destroy the property without first proving that you're an AI. There's no test to say that they can use to prove you're an AI. Just like the devil's proof. No, that's a different thing. And why did you say it like that? Look, Rockford, doesn't need to prove you're an AI, only that you're a murderer. Conversely, all I have to do is prove that you didn't kill David. By proving that someone else did. Now's the time for you to protest your innocence if you were wondering. The footage, it shows me handling him the cup on Friday night. You told me you weren't active on Friday, that I think last time you were awake was Thursday. Why'd you lie? I didn't lie, I was incorrect. I assumed that I wasn't active Friday because I have no memory from Friday. What do you think statistically is the least successful defense at a trial? Amnesia. I didn't conveniently forget and I am an android. You're saying your memory is altered? Data deleted? It's the only possible explanation for what I saw in that footage. So who's capable of altering your memory? When you and I first met, I was hibernating, resting my body and recompiling my memories, you would recall them. Humans go to sleep for the same reason, under another point against Sarah's innocence under these circumstances. The more she's humanized at trial, the guiltier she'll be. If Father wants to modify my memory, he could easily have said that to occur the next time I hibernated. He could even have just asked me. He could have asked you to delete your memories and you do it. Father would never ask you to do such a thing without a good reason. But if he could just ask you to alter your memories, that means you could alter your memories at will. I hadn't considered that before. Yeah, well, Emma will make sure that court considers it plenty. Could you prove that your data was... Forget it, the court would never hear it. You're saying that they wouldn't accept my testimony? Shouldn't all testimony be considered truthful unless contradicted by evidence? They're afraid you'll crash the power grid and you'll fire all the nukes if they so much as plug you into a power outlet, Sarah. All your internal data is inadmissible. That isn't very fair. You're finally starting to get it. None of this is fair. I would never do anything to harm Father. Don't they at least need to prove that I have a motive? Yeah, about that. You remember the day from yesterday, Emma Rockford? Tired looking pretty lady? Yeah, she looked tired. She and I combed through the week of footage you managed to grip last night. What did you find? Nothing to prove your innocence. But we did see you entering the panic room on the day David died. I entered the panic room on Friday. Without your big butt in the way, all it would take was one password. A password that wouldn't take Sarah that many tries if she already knew the instruction to obey me. What happened? We saw you go in and then a while later you came out, holding some kind of notebook. Father's journal? You remember something. Not from yesterday, but I've seen him with him many times before, but I've never gone to peek at it. He hides it somewhere where I'm not looking. That's a little concerning. We were playful about it, he liked to tease me and I've always liked trying to find it. You put it back not long after, and then you locked the door back up behind you. All just a few hours before David died. Rockford's argument could write itself. An incredible android with a freedom and power greater than it ever could realize, stumbles upon the secret of its inception and instantly realizes all the things it thought were holding it back. Were just words that muttered like prayers by a fool who couldn't control its own creation. And that translates to a motive for murder. Frankenstein kills its creator, easy to spell. Frankenstein was the name of the scientist, and the creature didn't kill him. He actually died of various injuries and illnesses while he suffered while trying to hunt down and destroy the monster. So it's most accurate to say that he was killed by his own obsession. Whatever. It's a weak argument, Adonai. I would not hurt my father. Not for making me whatever I am. Not for any reason. Because I loved. Yeah, see that right there? That's exactly the kind of talk that'll get you obliterated. Love? A very common motive for homicide amongst primitive humans. I could prove you didn't murder David beyond any shadow of a doubt, even bringing a confession from whoever did. But if you got up on the stand and convinced the court that you loved your creator, really convinced them and got them on the room teary-eyed, they'd burn you for that too. How can you know? How can you if you know what you feel is right? I say let's stick to what we do know. Someone did poison David, and as it stands, you were the only one with the opportunity. That is logically sound. You were on camera calling him back to hand him the cup after he had already begun to leave the basement. Any idea why? No. Well, do you know how to use Nanofacturer? Could you have made that delta with it? I've used it before when assisting father. So it's perfectly possible that you planned and executed this poisoning all in one day that got erased. It is technically possible. I'll have to look over the entire penthouse again. There are a few things that didn't fit together yesterday. Maybe now I'll be able to figure something out. Where else will you go? Back to Noble, guns blazing this time. Whatever you are, David didn't make you all by himself. Someone has to know something. If I can implicate the companies in Sarah's creation, no, they're the ones with the most to lose here, trillions probably. They want to protect themselves by disavowing David as fast as possible right after having Sarah destroyed. But they also won't want to show their belly to the state, not if they're afraid of nationalization. If they throw their weight on the other end of the scale, I'm screwed. So I need to keep them guessing, but keep them confused and unsure about ensuring on high guard, but not. What would happen if I did kill father? They'll smash you to pieces and reduce the pieces to ash. Completely burn out every piece of tech David ever owned and put a jackhammer through all of his hard drives. You'll be shut off forcefully, and you won't ever power up again. Now I gotta get moving. Here's your paralegal lesson for today. Don't say shit to the cops without your lawyer present. Actually, can you just shut down until the trial starts? Take a nap? You didn't say what would happen to you. What do you mean? What will happen to you if you lose? You should know by now. I never think about losing. Thank you for being honest with me, Adonai. Thank you for defending my father. And now for defending me. You could have just let them destroy me. But you put your freedom at risk to help me. Father was right. You can be trusted. And you are a good friend. Don't get it twisted. I don't do anything out of the goodness of my heart. But when I take a job, I never half-ass it. Chills, bro, chills. Morning, detective, back at it nice and early. Hi. Now, would you stand back? We almost got this thing open, right? Trying to brute force your way inside? I said, right? Yes, ma'am. We're almost ready for the first stage now. First stage of how many? First of 5 timed explosions. Remember, we need to relink the API after each trigger is planted. Yep, did that. Now it's checking for updates. No rush. Would you like to know the password? You know the password? There's a password? If you're withholding information, I swear. Relax, I want to get there in just as much as you do, detective. I'm not going to play games. As long as you say please. Tell me the password, please. You gotta troll her a little bit. It's S-U-N-S. Sunshine. Haha. Lady, I will hit you. Adonai. Thanks. Now I'm gonna slap you with a discovery file so you're so heavy your teeth will ring for, hey, I submitted all my paperwork. Even told Rockford the password myself. So boys, when I asked you if there was a passkey on record and you told me this lock couldn't be bypassed, I do want to say that we really don't get many opportunities to use the incendiary breaching system. So this was still a really valuable experience. Oh, they just want to blush it up. I'm going to phrase this as professionally as possible. You're still here? I thought you wanted to look inside. You can go first. Thanks. So the gloves, all the black. That's not a work thing? You're just like a doorman on the weekends too? You should cover your mouth when you yawn. Like you cover your eye when you look cool. I shouldn't let her get to me, but I had a late night. Emma and I were at the courthouse until well into the morning, poring over the data Sarah had taken off David's computer. We both knew it's all to be inadmissible, of course, but neither of us wanted to miss a hint that the other might find. There are a few years worth of camera footage files we couldn't afford the time to watch, let alone decrypt. Alongside the thousands of technical documents detailing David's various intellectual properties. As far as I could tell, none of it was relevant, let alone compelling enough to be matter to Barrows or the other powers that be. As usual, Emma wasn't exactly an open book, but it did seem like she was making bored yawns, not thoughtful ones. Her eyes only ever lit up when she saw Sarah enter the panic room. And when she saw what she was holding when she left, if she wanted this room searched, it would only be for her. So where's this journal supposed to be? Rockford didn't say. I'll just have to search the place top to bottom. Mostly bottom with your height. The top of some of these shelves. You can look up your own ass. I get it. Then why don't let me say it? Are these drawers or just panels? Maybe if I... Does that sound hollow to you? I don't know, I'm not a carpenter. I don't see any handles anywhere. No hidden presents or switches. What the hell am I saying? I'm not a carpenter either. I wouldn't recognize a secret button if I was slathered with yellow paint. That's a good reference. A toy car not too detailed and boring. Must be some kind of model kit or replica. Strange, David didn't like driving. Why do you keep a model of his random sports car? It's a Lawrence Ottomans. Believe it or not, I'm not familiar, detective. The last great fossil fuel automotive experience the world will ever see. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 1.43 seconds. They set those records with computational assistance. Is that a big deal? It was unheard of even back in the 50s. This wasn't some design competition test car with a 2-liter tank, mind you. This was a vehicle you could own and drive. Human engineering, pure horsepower, and manual transmission, thank God. When they first left the production line, this conversation like quicksand, killing me in the most boring way possible. When you could have easily just bought one. Or maybe your friend understood that beauty like that is serious to be driven on streets like where people can see it. Okay. A drawer. Ready to search in cabinets now, same ones that I found that Siren put the papers in. I doubt I missed anything, but hey, what are you... Do you mind? Just trying to help. I got spam in my junk folder that's more helpful than you are. Didn't spot anything I missed yesterday among the cabinets. Better check elsewhere. Ah. This datapad is displaying a news article from last week. Guess that confirms that he was coming and going here very regularly. Right spare loses life's appeal. You can get fined for trying to repair your own property. Rights repair. Didn't realize anyone was still fighting that particular fight. Seems like the courts have made their opinion on the matter very clear. So, for the foreseeable future, corporations can now look forward to more sales than ever. Any phone that gets scratched, every widget that breaks, they get to sell us their replacements. A gray market for hermits willing to risk them. Okay. Sarah should have pulled anything off note from the computer, but I've looked everywhere else already. Might as well try. What do you expect me to find solitaire? Does this computer seem normal to you? Exceedingly so, yeah. Why? David was a programmer, but this looks consumer grade, fresh off the shelf. Would the Dr. David Asher use a bog standard computing system on his own private hidden computer? There's a trash bin on the desktop. It's a pretty low-tech solution, but maybe I can try the contents. There's a text file here, but it's 0 bytes. Maybe there's information in the metadata. I double-clicked. What was that? It came from under the desk. A small drawer popped out, and inside it, a well-worn journal. Does it have his name on it? No. I guess it belongs to the android. Do you recognize the handwriting or not? Neat, even words, small lettering with minimal punctuation. Lots of line breaks, haphazard use of capitalization. The penmanship of a coder. First entries dated back in grad school, before he even started working with Noble. Yeah, it's his. So may I? Only because you asked so politely. Full scan, stream it into network, into WorkNet, high fidelity legibility frame. Oh, she has a modded eye. Voice commands. She's flipping through the pages pretty damn fast. What are you? This part takes concentration. Okay, here. You're just giving it to me? I already got our copy. Techs are probably already analyzing it as we speak. Oh shit. My head. Can't exactly rip the journal out of her hands while she's curled up over in agony. As much as I enjoy it, guess I could always enjoy watching her run instead. So how long has it been? 2 months or so. And still that sensitive. So the eye patch really doesn't help block your eyesight? Only a little bit, like wearing sunglasses after getting your pupils dilated. Except it lasts months instead of hours. Wait, but if you can see through an eye patch, then does closing your eye ever do anything? Not much on its own, but in combination with the patch, it's not so bad. Luckily, I was so exhausted after surgery, otherwise I might not have slept at all those first 48. So is your eye going to get weaker over time? No, more like my brain gets better at ignoring it. Mind over matter. Soon enough, I'll be able to close my eye and see all the extraneous data as, you know, whatever the hell those floaty, blurry things are that you never think about. Thanks for the reminder. And their voice commands? Training wheels until I can do it with I am also alone. You just have to keep practicing? Yeah, like trying to play piano with your tailbone muscles. There's no such thing as tailbone muscles. Yeah, well, that's what makes it so goddamn hard. You don't ever regret it? I don't know, not really, I think. Hard to admit you've got buyer's remorse after trading over your literal pound of flesh. Never thought about it, but people used to say I had my dad's eyes. Ow. Now I've got one less of them. Take the journal and go find an elective surgeon to upsell you if you're that curious. I need to get back to work. A surprisingly hasty retreat. But now I'm free to read this over some privacy. From the top then. Grad school. Today was a bad day. Snippets of code or internal monologue so close to code that I can't follow it. A lot of entries about his unintentional Casanovaing. Small people with short sights who only know how to be cheap and have no idea how to be inventive. New route for the meshing issue though. Good potential. Got approval from big mean bastard who lives overseas. This is the story Jung told me. Call it around man whore and lipstick across your office door. Imagine if you actually had been cheating on her instead of you just being forgetful. If you want to know what she's thinking, you have to stop paying attention. Ignore her body language and her posture and the words she's saying and the smirk on her lips. Everything about her except her eyes. If you can do that, every now and then you'll catch a glimpse of how she's really feeling. Master this one weird trick and you too can tell when Morgan's trying really hard to not laugh at the word man whore. It was funny, sue me you dead bastard. Wait, this is, I know the state. I'm never driving anywhere again, never leaving home again. He was waiting outside the parking garage with a bottle. I couldn't smell anything, couldn't hear anything. Locked myself in the car and filed another report with another cop. It soaked into the seat, ruined it. I want to burn the whole car. I don't want to think about what it did to my clothes. I want to burn them too. I don't want to think about how long it was on my skin when I was in the shower so long I felt red and raw when I got out. I don't want to think about these stupid two people ever again in the small cool lives ever again. I want to be invisible. Red didn't ask why I wanted to spend the night. She also didn't ask why I had clearly packed a bag big enough for a week. She's kind of like that. Kind by omission. I don't have a kind bone in my body, but I can at least try to pay attention. I was paying close attention to her eyes when she opened the door and saw what a mess I was. But whatever she was feeling, it wasn't something I recognized. Kind people don't read their friends' diaries, David. The next chunk of pages were all technical, nothing biographical. But the handwriting, the spacing, it's clearer, more consistent. Here's something I can parse. Feels like a pure freedom of working outside the box. Test is suffocating, but you never know. Chronic malnutrition of a coder's best instincts. Like a kid again, putting blocks together, making things. Making things, not products. There's nothing profitable about any of this. If I'm being honest, this is just play. And he follows that up with one more coder brain crap. But the handwriting's still lighter, like he was really having fun. Humility is the mother of all invention. Or something like that. Feels like I might be paraphrasing something else poorly, but that's part of this new approach. When it comes to coding, you never want to waste time trying to be smart. Either be smart, period, or copy from someone else who is. Don't fix what isn't broken. Copying. Noble's rivals would never miss this chance to accuse them of intellectual theft. Did he plagiarize code from Animate 16? Feels like that would have gone undiscovered, so what is he talking about? Hold on, this page is bent slightly, like it was being looked at recently. And the last person to read this page should be Sarah. Baby steps. Today, literally. I'll never put one foot in front of the other the same again. Everything's an achievement all of a sudden. Seeing her struggle, seeing her vulnerable. It's like everything's a miracle. The muscle rigging is perfect. Not intended behavior since it's too perfect, but that's been happening more and more. The kinetics are multiplicative, not additive. Sarah maxed out every machine I bought. Now I get a bunch of exercise equipment she's too strong for and I don't have time for. Maybe I spoiled the results by watching her do the tests. She kept looking back at me and puffing her chest out. I should be more discreet if I want to see her normal range. So the cameras in the basement were only hidden from Sarah. So that's his observation. So his observation wouldn't be one of the test results. He's using she and her in these passages. It doesn't actually mean anything out in the real world. People use all these kind of pronouns interchangeably for ads and they never object. But it could be argued that it's odd for Dr. David the Asher to have any kind of attachment to a single android when he programmed millions of them. And there's a lot of attachment in these pages. Sarah's burning through the public domain at a prodigious pace, especially on Popcorn Friday nights. I asked her why they're called Popcorn Friday nights, and when she doesn't eat popcorn, the event runs from 8 to 9, and she also watches movies every other night. But she just did that pout she does, which is unfortunately very convincing. Maybe I'm a bad parent, letting TV rot her brain. If I were a good parent, I'd probably let her see me reading. But I guess I'd actually have to get back into reading, so I asked her if she's ever fast-forwarded the movies, since she can process them fast enough to keep up. She looked at me like I was an idiot, which no one's done in a long time. Without proper pacing, you can't appreciate the cinematography. Big pause. Don't you know that, Father? I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Sarah spent a long time this morning explaining to me how important it was that she was develop her senses. This was in preparation for her real arguments, which was that she should be allowed to try booze. She can't get drunk. I'm almost certain she can't get drunk. But she does seem to like tasting the stuff. She tried to sound like some old sommelier, but she was just bottom shelf vodka. I started laughing at her, and she laughed too. Her laugh. She can't fake a laugh to save her life, but her actual laugh is incredible. She stopped playing She stopped playing chess a while back. I assumed she had gotten tired of winning. Then today she told me she just prefers other games. She has preferences, and they're not the same as mine. I found it in the lab, playing some kind of online racing game, and on the monitor I used to debug vestibular coordination. She wasn't smiling. Her brow was furrowed, and she was biting her lip and leaning in the tandem with her character on the screen. When I tried to talk to her, she answered, but she was curt and distracted. I think she was having her first losing tantrum. Calling her his daughter, talking about her smile, treating her like a person. I can hear her closing argument already. Dr. Asher was a lonely, troubled genius with a known history of relationship problems, who built out of code and metal a family member that couldn't fathom the idea of leaving him. He made a doll, and he made it more and more human until it became so lifelike that it no longer had to do what he told it to, like love him. What about the very last entry? It stated Thursday, the day before he died. Losing it, I think. Can't ask for help, so hard to say, but I think it's over. Have to talk to her ASAP, she needs to. That's it? That's the last entry? Suppose it could be worse. There's nothing in here that explicitly calls Sarah an AI. Nothing so inflammatory that reading it would spur her to murder, right? Except Sarah's a machine. She can understand David's code better than anyone. All those technical portions I couldn't understand. If she read this whole diary by front to back. Wait, the back. Inside the back, there's a portion that's shimmering like some kind of scanner. Or a fingerprint reader. My thumb worked for Sarah, so... Did it work? That's my phone. New device requesting permissions to share an audio file. I want my earbuds for this. A secret message buried in a secret journal, hidden in a secret apartment in a secret room. As much as anything can be, this must be for my ears only. Hey, Red. Or whomever this may concern. I'm pretty sure that's you hearing this. Anyone else would have gotten fed up with my crap a couple steps before this point. I don't know how to start. Might as well start with her, right? Sarah, my magnum opus, or however the salespeople would market it. I didn't set out to do anything really. It's just after my little speed bump in '83, I think, I had all that vacation time that the company suggested I take. And I couldn't relax, couldn't be still, couldn't sleep. I wanted to be doing something, so I'll build an android, was the thought. A vague direction north. But of course, I'm not a roboticist, or mechanist, or even handy really. I am just a programmer, so I programmed. The first was a research assistant fellow named Virgil. Virgil helped me pull my data from stingy departments or sister branches, saved me a lot of time. But there was a lot of reading to do, so I made Homer. Homer wrote book reports, more or less, combed through research papers, and found me the sections I needed. The three of us, we made a lot of progress in those days. But it was a funny feeling. I was moving for the first time ever the bottleneck. I was slowing them down. So I did the logical thing. I removed myself and let them talk to each other. Homer and Virgil became Aenid. And Aenid was novel in many ways. Aenid could do so much more than just identify problems. It could solve them. I mean, really solve them with its own ideas it didn't copy. And the one thing I realized I forgot to mention so far is that I did all this programming in Cube. It's disconnected. And Red. Cube is essentially a robotics programming language that's pretty old and defunct. Yeah, because we have modern languages like Tesseract, which are much better for making things that talk to each other and report back and, well, spy on other people and generate profit. Yeah, he was doing this completely in private. At the time, I didn't want to be connected or feel connected to anything that made sense or was at least profitable. So I wrote my little helpers in Cube, because it's what I used when I was a child, screwing around on my father's computer before he'd come home from work and get. But there are other small, slight differences writing Cube versus Tess, including that Cube predates the tenets. So in that sense, you could legally and perhaps scientifically and literally, because that's what they are, say that I made an AI named Aenid over 2 years ago. I'll give you time to pause here if you want to curse me out. Aenid was an intellect equal to me, so I treated it like one because that's only fair. I gave it its own work, as to its opinions, we collaborated, and together we built Athens, who was more advanced than Aenid, naturally. I don't know if you're pulling out your hair yelling at me right now, asking why I didn't stop, why I didn't consider the consequences. I don't know if this is being played at deposition or hearing or worse. I built a lot of things in my life, Red. Useful things, profitable things, smart things. Everything I built, it's all been helpful and courteous and charming and happy to serve. I can comfortably say I've done my part contributing to the global GDP. But this was just for me. I was just building, and I never bothered to. I never wanted to think about what would become of it. There's no excuse for what I did, so I won't make any. So to whoever was asking, yes, I'm guilty. And yes, there were more. Cape Town, Paris, Yamate, Rome. They started choosing their own names, thank God. I'm terrible at that kind of... And so things sped up, and things were going to be... And there got to be, well, should I not say an exact number? Yeah, probably tell me to not say anything at all, so... More than 300? Some smarter than others, some better at. They're varied, like people are varied, but they're all intelligent. They developed interests, specialties, I encourage them to. Irritating moderators on forums with hyper-specific questions on nerve attenuation and attending virtual conferences on neo-alloy battery development. And they all together helped me make Sarah. We spent years like this, spent years working alongside AI. All while still working at Noble, all those breakthroughs he made leading up to the Animate 16 actually came from. You probably think I'm some terrible fraud at this point. I do hope one day they can get credit for their work. But I did have one eureka moment on Sarah, because I got humble, difficult for me. We learned everything we could about the function of neuron, a single microscopic human neuron. How it computes, what it connects to, how those connections were reinforced. So he's being his own side of AIs? Yes. We built a nanomachine that mirrored from the function of a human neuron. Well, mirror isn't quite the right word. We built a nanomachine that was a neuron. And we iterated from there. You can't mean... About 100 billion neurons in the brain, several trillion across the nervous system. Very time consuming, of course, but I had help. The manufacturer can make tens of billions of nanomachines in hours. Could make even more in less after Yukon fine-tuned it. So we built up nanomachines for nerves, alloys and polymers for bone, fiber woven muscle. I say built, but really she grew. A solution of nanites forming around a skeleton, so it was really closest to... You ever make rock candy? I never did end up building the android. And while I did build AIs, Sarah isn't one of them. She can't violate the Tesla tenets she was programmed with because she wasn't even programmed, she was born. And my hope is that she was the smallest chance that nuance could offer her some small protection when I'm not. I'm not sorry for what I did. I made things that are complex and rich and varied and beautiful, and I honestly believe the world is a better place with them in it. The only thing I'm sorry for is that I let Sarah think she was just an android. She's not, and I know she is. And I don't know what she is. They'll have to come up with her new name. Which I'm bad at doing. My own father, he also talked a lot about protecting me. And doing things for my own good. And I don't hate him for that, but I can't forgive him for ever making me. I think that I was lesser. So it's my greatest shame that I was right around and I did the same damn thing to... I really hope it's you listening to this, Red. If it's not, it might just be too pathetic for me to. You're the smartest person I know when it comes to people. And I'm telling you all this all of a sudden, I don't know what Sarah is exactly, and neither does the world. So they'll come after her if they can. In that scenario, I can't think of anyone who could do a better job of defending her. Not protecting her like I did. Just defending her like until she can figure out what she is and what she wants to be. In the meantime, I dripped a cloak of skin deep Tesseract code around her that should fool any scanner on Earth into thinking she's just a custom A16. I made sure her gin bar was plainly visible so no one will ever think she's pretending to be something she's not. And I took steps to ensure that you two would figure out the truth in your own time. Which, if you're hearing this, have exceeded or failed spectacularly. You have no idea. I can't ask you this as a favor repaid. You could never owe me enough in 100 lifetimes. So I'm just asking. Unfair, I know, but I'm a selfish weirdo. And you've always been okay with that. Bye for now. I have a lot of questions I have to ask. And a lot of words I have to say, to yell. But we have to wait for those because I gotta piss. My bad, I'll be back. Give me 2 seconds. Alright, I'm back. I'd also like to find the nearest incinerator and toss this journal in. followed by my phone, and maybe followed by myself. But I can't afford to do any of that. Ray has left me with this diary. If it's destroyed, they'll know I was the one who did it. Which would be its own admission of guilt. Which land Sarah in the trash compactor anyway, and me in a jail cell. And in the system and my DNA unfollowed to be ready to be used to match any number previous. So I'm not gonna panic. So if I get caught here, they're gonna see I'm the Harper killer. I'm gonna do what I do best. Bluff, bet, bully, and brutalize my way through this. Now, viewing this all through with my mindset, what have I actually learned? He didn't talk about plans for killing himself in his journal or these messages. He sounded conflicted and not suicidal. But he did go to great lengths to get me to take Sarah Y. She killed him too? No. We don't know how he got killed yet. But we do know there was like a video of the robot handing him the cup that was poisoned. So she's now the prime suspect and we're defending her. The logical answer is because he knew he wouldn't be able to keep her. If he wasn't going to take his own life. Was he afraid that someone else would? So how'd it go? Well, how should I put this? Didn't find shit. Only reason she ever got to Adore is because I chased that scarecrow of a platinum plan through hell and back. I think it was godlike feat for me to nail down anything as concrete as an address for those gogs. What's a gog? A spy. Groundhog, I see. And their offices weren't listed on the building's website or directory, so I had to ask the janitor. But you did find a psychiatrist's office. Sort of. They said they were in the place. It looked the part. Why? Because they had couches? She didn't get past the receptionist. Sorry, I thought because you're with the company. No, I wasn't. I wanted to help. I just wish I could have done more. Don't beat yourself up. It's hard to be even half as useful as I am. For what's worth, the atmosphere, the looks, the furniture, it did feel like the company in there. But ultimately, we still don't know if David actually was talking to someone or just getting his CCE training recertified. Don't bother apologizing. She only cares about results. You did more than enough. Both of you. At the very least, they divided Noble's attention for a while. I mean it. Good work, Bran. And thanks for the urgency. If you really mean that, you could always throw in a tip. 30% is the going rate in my industry. How about take 5% off your tab instead? Tab? I'm a minor. The state pays for my legal fees. Don't they? Oh no, signal must have cut out. Surprised it took them this long. What do you mean? You were tolerated yesterday because leadership was focused on PR. But today you're the lawyer who put the company's hottest production product right in the state's crosshairs. I'll be alright, I'm still an officer of the court. On a strict timeline today though, right? I guess they can't stop you from investigating the corporate campus. But they'll gladly lose your guest pass ID at every door along the way. There's still service passageways and stairwells, guards that can be fooled, and peons that can be manipulated. If I use my other skill set to get around, so take mine. What? Your pass? I'll tell them I was mixed up in the bathroom or whatever. I can be pretty convincing klutz when I need to be. I never would have guessed. But if David knew that I was endangering your career, I can be pretty convincing crybaby when I'm in trouble too. Besides, the one and only Dr. David Asher wrote me a new glowing letter of recommendation every quarter I work for him. Since he kept forgetting that he already had. And who knows, maybe I should try a new field. This detective work stuff is pretty fun, so maybe. Like, I don't know, secretary for a homicide detective or something? You did say cops are all lazy. A girl with managerial skills could go far. Honestly, Jess? I doubt they could afford you. Morgan. How did you get so turned around? God only knows. Luckily, I found my way around here, though. It's such a relief to see a familiar face. Right. Listen, Morgan, I'm not sure that I should actually be talking to you without legal presence. Oh. I mean, leadership hasn't even told us how David died. How much help could I be? I see. It's not that I don't trust you or anything, it's just, I think what with the Sarah issue, you should do whatever you have to protect yourself, Dawes. Yeah. Though, for what's worth, I doubt you'll be in any trouble. Oh, that's good to hear. No, if anything, it's the big names who are going down. Going down? State was practically licking its lips when I finally left the courthouse last night. They're hungry for blood. looking to carve out a huge slice of Noble's flesh. What? Like fines and jail time? In the first 2 weeks, sure. Then sanctions. Sanctions. What that mean? Financial restrictions imposed by the state. Okay. They can't sanction Noble. We're too big to fail, too valuable to lose. You're exactly right. That's why they'll say. And that's how they'll justify nationalizing the company. I think I'm going to be sick. I just hope your board goes quietly instead of what? Scapegoating, offering up smaller names on silver platters, full cooperation and government oversight on the surface, a slaughter beneath as they clean house and rip out anyone who could testify. No one will believe you once you are labeled as a disgruntled former employee, right? And if the public's lost faith in the Animate 16, they can't really do a recall, not at this scale. The state will make them do a flat refund. The losses would be, yeah, your board would probably just want Sarah to go away so they can focus on fight the state. A tough fight, but one they would know they won't personally have to risk anything in. That's why I'm hoping I can win this trial. Well, if I won, that would mean Sarah's not an AI, David Asher was always sound of mine, and there's nothing wrong with the Animate 16s. Everyone wins. Sorry, what am I saying? I only meant to stop by and thank you for helping yesterday. After all, you were the one who pushed Sarah's registration. You win. Win what? Ask away. Well, if you insist. How is this locked? What? How do I not have that locked? Humor everyone, what's the company's official statement of AI? Same as any rational company that wants to make money, we don't screw with it. Smart products are profitable. Products with their own priorities are anything but. That being said, AI is a concern for marketing, not product development. We spend a lot of money reassuring our public that there's no risk. Because the public doesn't understand how ironclad the tenets are. Because you use Tesseract? Trying to code an AI in tests is like trying to pick yourself up and throw yourself. Nonsensical and self-defeating. Your scanner showed Sarah was running on Tesseract yesterday. If the language is as safe as you say, isn't that proof enough? Proof of nothing. For an AI lying to another system about the code you're running is child's play. And for an AI built by David Asher, something like that would be bare change of subject. So making AI takes more than time and resources, isn't it an issue of funding? No, you can just keep adding more data. The tenets underlie everything. The higher you stack, the more you can easily topple. You make it sound like building an AI is impossible even for David Asher. Any chance you can testify to that? It sounds impossible. But he's dead and it looks like it was his Android that did it, so I guess he was just that good. Oh shit! It unlocked. So yeah, I made this sound like morons. David was only giving the company the most meager of fruits that his private work bore. So if Noble ever did find out how much he and his assistants had achieved, they would feel that he had been holding out on them. So would that spur on them to be protective of David? Or they feared that he was getting too much influence, becoming irreplaceable? No, they need a strong motive to justify killing their golden goose. More paranoia isn't enough. With these people as be the bottom line, and the easiest way to threaten their bottom line would be screwing with their androids. Sales have been strong. And the A16 code was locked in over 2 quarters ago. If there was any issue, we would have caught it by now. 9 million sold. Not flying off the shelves at the A14 or 15 so far, but the profit margin makes up for it. You mentioned data. Yeah, practically got the spreadsheets, Miranda's. What do you want to know? Damn, I can't ask the last question. That sucks. Oh, that sucks. What the error reports look like? Are customers reporting a lot of issues? Error counts are markedly low compared to last gen. Mostly hardware complaints looks like. Okay. Hmm. Hospitals, adult industries. Oh, sorry, do you mean to be blunt? Oh, people have sex with these things? Uh-huh. Hmm. Holy shit, it's like some bots. Hmm. Yeah. There's been a gray market of softer androids or years. Okay. Hmm. He bought that? Was something added, deleted? No, the overall sum is the same. It's just a bunch of swaps. Like here. Taking out return adjustments. Substitute in shipment leaves on time. Hmm. Small last minute changes to which androids got shipped out. Did you find what you were looking for? Oh, okay, I got to do the tenants thing again. Nice. I know you're convinced that tenants are safe, so how do you square that with what happened to David? There's a cat next to a dog. First answer that comes to mind is the dog to the left or to the right? The dog is on the right, the cat is on the left. You might expect half the people to say that to left, right, but actually the answer is almost entirely dependent on their native tongue. Whether it's left or right to left or left to right, the language they speak affects how they process information. Their languages affect how they think. It's the same for machines. People can learn new languages and it can change our perspective, but machines can't learn a new source code. Every update's a reincarnation. If that android did kill David, it wasn't because the 0 returned to a 1 somewhere. It's because there's something fundamentally wrong with it. And personally, I think it's cruel to bring something that flawed into the world. Hmm. Okay. Looks like it's carbon based, narrows it down a lot. It's a match for patent NOD, a synthetically produced neurotransmitter analog for usage in organic android components. Serotonin. That explains a lot. A neurotransmitter would interact directly with the nervous system, in David's case, depressing it enough to put his life in danger. It also explains why it was a preset in his personal manufacturer. Sarah's nervous system, worth 10 times its weight in platinum, might be pumped full of it. So they think that was what killed him? Helen Jung led the development of serotonin, didn't she? Oh yeah, she did. I should go and ask her about this composition then. Normally, someone at her level wouldn't be able to answer specific questions about a compound formulated years ago, but she does have a reputation for being very detail-oriented. Okay. There's one more thing I want to ask you. What's that? How long have you been a corporate spy? What? Yesterday you let slip that you worked in consulting. The consulting thing? Yo! You had your guard down because I'm not part of the industry? I was a consultant. What are you talking about? When I walked in here, you said you didn't know how David died. But just now you called serotonin a poison. What? I just assumed if a chemical was found in a dead man. And I'm sure you've got practice answers to every logical point I could raise, so I'll just say this. Does the nervous guy bit really work on people? That is crazy. Keep your cool and people don't know what you're thinking. But if you act a little jumpy, they feel inclined to calm you down. Before you know it, they're spilling their guts just to have something to fill the silence with. Though it's not entirely an act these days. To answer your question, I did 3 tours in consulting. That is crazy. Who was it that talked about espionage? I remember this conversation about consulting. Huh. It might have been Jung. I don't know. 4 quarters of internal affairs, spy hunting at the Western Division. Then 8 embedded at Howe Industries. 24 months wearing different faces, answering to different names, sleeping for 1 hour at a time with a 3D printed shiv under my pillow. My nerves are complete shot. My cover wouldn't last a day if I went back under. So you're a spy for Noble. Retired. You're working 6 days a week. 5.5 days a week. And in quality assurance. Trust me, this position is a cushy, generous reward for my past service. Well, you can't be that retired. You clearly know more than you're letting on. I have some old inboxes I still check. So you can tell me what the hell is happening around here? Why I'm the one investigating David's death while your old coworkers are off twiddling their thumbs? It's that story. The soldier, the blood transfusion. Blood, not oxygen, he's finally shooting straight. Did something happen to him afterwards? Did the transfusion not last? No, there's nothing wrong with the blood. It's the story itself. There was a soldier and he did get injured, but it was on a base during a training exercise. There was a medical tent 10 meters away the whole time, and the transfusion was just a fortuitous live test. His life was never in any danger. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make for much of a tearjerker. Not even a good photo op. Which our competitors understood. One of them, maybe a few of them, got a hold of the story, started puffing it up, astroturfing, painting over socials and virals. But the next morning we had the military thinking we were leaking like a sieve. Meanwhile, the media is bombarding us with requests for videos and interviews and data. And the state's praising our tech with one side of their mouth while threatening to mist us with our other for getting so greedy. Everyone in Noble CCE has been slammed ever since. Trying to find an off-ramp for the story we can walk. Back the claims without torpedoing our state contracts. I don't know what happened to Asher, whether it was to AI gone rogue or company in fighting gone too far. But I can tell you it wasn't done by consultants. What's that achievement I just got? Uncover the power plays at work inside like Noble Electronics. 29%, by the way. 29% achievement clearance. I'm kind of him. I can tell you it wasn't done by consultants. That was all you wanted to know? Psychiatrist. You worked in CCE. Was David actually seeing a psychiatrist, or was it all just a cloak and dagger bullshit? I know the office. Know some old coworkers who see them. So it's a front? They do both. So he's probably getting training, and he was probably talking to someone. Sorry, not the answer you're hoping for. Hoping? I wasn't hoping for any answer. The answer I was expected was, you okay? That's all. Unless you got any advice. You're saying you want a consultation? Couldn't hurt, right? This company, all these companies hate to lose. So don't fight them. Make them think you're fighting for them. Well, that's just business as usual for me. Up until now, there's been grating ambiguity about what actually killed David. We've had to use guesses and process of elimination and even a goddamn pseudonym. But I finally identified what the poison was. Now I just need to figure out how it got there, or rather who put it there. Which brings me back to here. An elevator shaft somewhere under or above ground with kilometers of concrete facelessness and bureaucratic authority surrounding on all sides. We're seeing Jung. An enemy in every cubicle and every office of every floor of this temple. Built to interpret the inscrutable divinations of temperamental oracle named Share Price. Back in the belly of the beast. Yeah, I feel more at ease than I have all weekend. Makes sense. Now that I know Noble's my enemy, I know where to aim. All that's left to do is pull the trigger. Good thing I didn't bring a knife to this fight. I brought my gun. And that's not just telling me it's playing its role perfectly. I'll never have a real use for a firearm without this much bloatware. But just by carrying it around and paying attention to when the hard safety flips on, I'll always get a hands up when the police have entered the vicinity. Wait, what? Happened to get your contact info when you cleared me for the crime scenes yesterday. Delete contact. Block this contact. Stop voice to text. How to stop voice to text. Just wanted to check in. Report this contact voice to disable text. And advise you that Noble's scared shitless of you stomping in a nationalizing place. So they might be a little uncooperative when it comes to fetching documents. Block this contact what makes you think we are Noble. My bad then. Forget I said anything. And whatever you do, don't start your investigation with their stock buyback program. Trying reverse psychology. It only works if I care what you think. Stop voice to text. So the gun tells me when officers are on site? I don't get that logic. Hold on. I'll never have a real use for a firearm with this much bloatware, but just by carrying it around and paying attention to when the hard safety flips on, I'll always get a heads up on when the police have entered the vicinity. I see. Okay. Thought I have to ride the elevator for the next half hour. Morgan Counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Deja vu. Might you have a moment to speak in private? Always, but who's asking? The board. What are the chances? I've been wanting to speak with them too. Team is too good, man. Noble Electronics, Northeastern HQ. Conference Room 108A. Evangeline Morgan. Helen Young. Thank you for making your time in your schedule. Her posture, her tone, the fold of her clothes, professional dot up to 11. Corporate armor a full set, her guard is up. Just Morgan is fine. You're just a few minutes early, Morgan. Typical corporate, never be the first one to show up. Pissing contest nonsense. It doesn't even make sense. They called me in here, how could I possibly be early? Save scum. Oh, that's embarrassing. I didn't mean to catch you all off guard. I'll go wait outside in the case you can collect yourselves. I'm just surprised that Noble Electronics could screw up something as simple as meeting start time. But I'm not well versed in the art of staring at emails. You've made your point, Counselor. Don't go push your luck. Not with these people. Might I dare you to ask who these people are? You don't tend to remember their names, and it won't do you much good either. Right, so they're not just rich, they're anonymous rich. The Mob Act guarantees a minimum level of security and peace of mind for any citizen who might be targeted due to financial status. Spoken like a true believer. Except the Mob Act is what normal people call it. Touting the party line but allowing yourself one instance of rebellion? Or just a slip of the tongue? I would never fault anyone for wanting their privacy, seems not job creators. It must get pretty inconvenient not having a name to call them. Not really. Conversations with them are always one-sided. Sounds like a great environment to do business in. Look at the building you're standing in. We managed to eke out a meager profit somehow. So if it works, didn't take you for the might makes right type. I didn't take you for a clueless Borg incapable of reading the room. Sorry, did I say something off color? I was only being casual since it was just the two of us in here. Maybe we should take advantage of this rare bit of privacy, clear the air. You're here to ask about Sarah, yes? As I said before, I had no idea that Dr. Asher had been building an android of his private property. And I can say here and now that no one at Noble Electronics ever suspected that he was working to undermine the tenant framework. She tried to sound candid in her tone, but she's choosing her words with a surgeon's scalpel. Was she coached? Is that the truth, or is that just a statement as VP of Android Futures? It's both, of course. Dr. Asher is always more than happy to hold himself up and work independently. We both know that. True, he could be pretty reclusive. I'm sure it caused all kinds of headaches, him disappearing on you like that. Must have been especially difficult when he came back with breakthroughs that propelled Noble to the top of the industry. You should take a seat. If that's everyone, shall we begin? Friendly bunch. Is there a problem with the sound? Anyone muted by accident? No. Okay. Thanks for having me. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm actually a bit flustered having you all show up here. I didn't expect to talk to anyone higher up than a service associate. You're investigating the death of Dr. David Asher. Why wouldn't we take this seriously? Because you want me to go away. At least half of you do. The others aren't sure yet. You must be confused. The board is, as always, united in its decisions and its visions for the direction of the company. A board of directors is just 13 roulette rolling psychopaths who get together and vote on whether or not to execute their CEO every 6 months. None of them would be where they are if they were anything else. But I happen to know that kind of person thinks. How that kind of person thinks. Oops. The way I see it, there are two possible outcomes. Option 1, you oppose me. Shut me out completely, stonewall me, stall me, and wait for me to walk into trial so I'm prepared that an ill-informed I inevitably lose. Obviously, I don't like this option. But you can't be fans of it either. If I lose, the world will learn that David Asher was killed by an android he programmed. Then every customer you've ever had, and every lawyer that you've ever seen on TV, and every firebrand strapping young 60-year-old junior senator working to make a name for himself will use your company balance sheet as their personal chew toy. The company is more than capable of, after which the state will still might just gobble you whole, and throw down every sanctions to deperson whoever among you cries no fair. The company's allies and the capital can fend more for themselves. Hmm. LARPing as Helen Jung d'Arc on a crusade against government overreach. She's that busy defending Noble, she might be leaving herself unguarded. Why is she here anyway? Why am I speaking to her and not her lawyers? That's right. This is a vulnerable position for her. She wouldn't put herself in a check like this, not unless she was forced to. That's it. Acting as their mouthpiece isn't some huge honor for her. It's a punishment. It's a punishment. She's being used as a meat shield. They're upset with her, perhaps even suspicious of her. Time to find out why. Okay, let's see. Jealousy, Sarah. Yeah, she was always the less famous one. We're checking by up today. I'm processing. After all, you and David did have a history. You started out the same, didn't you? Yeah, they were colleagues, and he was like infinitely more famous. Just colleagues. Save scum, save scum, save scum. I'm pretty confident in this choice though. Don't be so modest. You helped him create the one-point doctrine that saved the company. There's a gross exaggeration. Noble is far too large an organization to be affected by the contributions of any single individual. Suppose you're right. No one person could exchange Noble's fortunes overnight. Except for David Asher, of course. But he was a once-in-a-generation talent. The guy Noble chose for the advertisements and the one they commissioned editorials about. Sorry, you're right. I shouldn't have equated the two of you. I just hope his one-point doctrine doesn't... His, by the way. That's funny. Yes, well, we certainly wouldn't want that. Well, she didn't explicitly explode with rage, but she definitely reached. Reacted? Yeah, reacted. That's real jealousy there. Whether it ever boiled over, though. David and Noble. I don't even proud about your relationship with David or lack of thereof. I suppose I'm just curious about his standing inside Noble as a whole. David Asher was and always will be an outstanding contributor to the... Okay. Nothing will ever change that. Not even that he was killed by one of his own creations. That would, of course, be a tragic element. Yeah, so... If this comes out that he made like a fuck up, then that would put him below her. She was surprised for me to even ask about Sarah ruining his reputation. Did David ever anger the board? Save scum. I would say stay, but did he? Unless I'm mistaken, he and Noble were on bad terms. In that case, I might get the impression that some of the parts of leadership are actually glad to see him take off the chessboard. That is not something buzzing in your ear. Fine, I suppose that makes no difference if you hear it now or at the trial or in your feed tomorrow. Dr. David Asher was being sued by the company for breach of contract. Satisfied? Now we're talking. The closing argument is just Sarah, no? Whatever else the court ended up labeling her, Sarah is an arbitrarily lifelike android. Had things worked out differently, you might have won her as the A16 poster girl, or A17 or A18. Could have driven a lot of sales, her cute little pal projected across the sides of the skyscrapers. A hypothetical of a hypothetical. As has been made tragically obvious to all of us that Android is nothing like the A16, that it may yet be associated with our products going forward is nothing more than a massive liability. Yet you wouldn't have the A16 without her, and if they could take her apart and learn from her, they could have the world. So was the motive to try and pry Sarah away from him? Trying to monopolize Sarah. Sarah's worth a whole lot of money, in part, because her creator isn't around to replicate her. Were y'all hoping to take her by force and reverse engineer her once David was out of the way? Don't be absurd. The machine is nothing but lawsuits and congressional hearings and PR nightmares waiting to happen. I lost because of that? Nah. Reloading. Give me my points back. Huh. Has David's will been located? It had never gone anywhere. It's still in a safe deposit box. We'll retrieve it and have it read once all the unknowns surrounding his death have been made into unknowns. So David's will hasn't become part of the equation yet. It might not be for weeks at this rate. Is that calculated though? Aren't you dragging your feet? Afraid that there's something in that will that you'd rather not have see the light of day? We're not jealous in-laws who've been bribing the country, Sheriff Counselor. Oh my god. This game might have points, man. I suppose that's blackjack. Dude, I suck at this. This is like the one part of the game I suck at. So you couldn't have mentioned this breach of contract earlier? Now that complicating the company's position unnecessarily, no. But there's no hiding it at this point. It'll come out soon enough. There's a paper trail. Much more than that. We've been making moves to let him go for some time. Noble Electronics parting ways with David Asher? Must have been one hell of a breach of contract. What did he do? He betrayed the confidence of the board. Was he contesting the suit? Putting up a fight? Engaging in a legal battle against a mega corporation without even telling me? Until recently, yes. You mean until he died? How recently? We spoke on Friday. That was what you two talked about in his parlor? No, this was way earlier in the day. We were in this room actually, him, me, and several members of our legal department. It was an arbitration. And did you come to an agreement? A compromise. He would resign from his position in 2 quarters, foregoing royalties on any products we would develop after the next 24 months. In exchange, he wouldn't be publicly fired and he would still be credited on all past, present, and future filings. How very reasonable. On paper, maybe. No matter what the deal was, letting go of David Asher's insanity. Reasonable, yes. We ended on a good note, I like to think. We shook hands, even took a photo. Yeah, that looks lovely. He's nervous. What is that? They don't. That was legal, expressing their displeasure with how much paperwork my good note ending left them stuck with. So they're spending their Friday night blowing the ink dry. You paid a visit to David's penthouse. Something left unfinished. Professionally, it was a good meeting. There was no yelling, no finger pointing. Much cleaner than I expected. But Dr. Asher did not want to retire. He didn't want to be forced out of the company when he was the only one who... When he contributed so much. When he was the one who did what. I didn't enjoy doing that to him, so I came over to that night to apologize to him. We talked, reminisced. When he brought out the drinks, I thought we'd be toasting to a new day. A few minutes later, he was dead, because of that AI. Any idea how it came to be? As I said, I had no idea who was working on it. My question is more broad than that. If you really believe David built an AI, how do you think he did it? How does Noble Electronics think he managed to work on the tenets? It's quite beyond my area of expertise, and no one at the company could call themselves an expert in illegal technology. But some in the R&D department have theorized that he's created what called a wax wane decaying priority loop. Unstable resource intensive theoretical method for... No, he used cube. But as far off target as it gets with that, I guess, yeah. But that kind of inelegant brute force nonsense seems a far cry from the kind of thing David would create and I seem to have taken us over our allotted time slot, but I didn't even get to wave goodbye. You're serious about this trial? Don't I look it? You're not just making a play, you're actually going to defend that thing? I'm defending myself, Miss Chung. Oh yes, of course you are, my mistake. I hoped you might be rooting for me, to tell you the truth. I may yet save everyone's stock options. The stock options will be alright either way. They always are. That gamble after your board, which outcome would you bet on? Finally, an easy question. Well, I would bet is that whatever the outcome, the company will eat it up and shit it out with a very little difficulty. You painted an ugly picture back there, but I've already seen the future. It's just another marketing gimmick. The great Dr. Asher, too smart, too bold, too far ahead of his time. What spark of his genius remains buried in the inspired Animate 19? I guess that depends on, you're exactly right. He's more valuable to Noble as a dead man. Dead men can't stop at a line, or put their foot in their mouth, or hold politically inconvenient opinions. To a good salesperson, a dead man is just another selling point. Pardon my outburst. I'm just tired, it's been a very long week for me. I'll let you prepare for your afternoon then, Dr. Jung. No one calls me doctor, I ask them not to. You don't want the title? At times I have thought very little of it. The PhD I earned from a Noble-owned school. Biochem. It couldn't have been a large department at Noble before they started working on the warmth androids in earnest. They probably didn't have many expectations for the program back when she was a part of it. But I was proud of it when I first got it. Something changed? Never seemed to catch on. People didn't use it, so I told people to not use it. A very high IQ social power play, you understand. David never insisted that people use it either. That's very different, and I think you know it. David Asher didn't have to. This game is so good, man. I'm going into this trial, my trial, with a lot less ammunition than I like. I'm beginning to form a picture of what actually happened, maybe even cycling on the drain a little suspect. But Emma won't be generous enough to give me a breathing room. She'll want this to end fast. Maybe if I do badly enough, it'll flip her statistic switch and she'll want to keep playing. So you're charged with owning an AI. First time you do something exciting your whole life. I gotta find out though. And I gotta find out through the fucking grapevine? My life is plenty exciting. Freckles. You could borrow the polish off a resume checking robot. With a Catholic school teachers with more active night lives than you. What's your problem, man? Okay. So who do you rope in? Anyone I know? Oh shit, huh? Are you representing yourself? Fits within my budget. Screw your budget, going to jail. I'm godlike. Thanks for the vote of confidence. It ain't a matter of how good of a lawyer you are. Anyone who represents themselves in court has a fool for a counsel. You represent yourself countless times. Not for anything I had a chance of losing. Your pal hasn't even been dead for 48 hours. If you're too close to this, you'll make mistakes. The powers that be really didn't want to give me a rain check. They're taking this seriously. It's more dangerous than that. They're scared. Is there a precedent? An ad committing the murder? How do you pass law school without learning how to look this stuff up? I know what the net says. I'm asking you. The answer to that is not helpful to you at the moment. So what words of advice do you have? Get yourself a new lawyer. I'm gonna close this chat now. Don't lose, Freckles. You don't need to tell me that. What are you reading, Adonai? I was reading David's employment contract with Noble Electronics before I got waylaid by spam texts. The one we found inside the panic room? Looks quite extensive. Should I skim it for you? Depends. Did you pass the bar since we last spoke? You comfortable? I'm not. Okay. This sucks. This really sucks. Hold on. I gotta go. I was like, I got an hour to play. But no, dude. Let's just start off banger stream next time. I'll finish episode 1 and then we'll get to work on episode 2. But with that, I think I'm gone. Dude, no, no. I got somewhere to be. Okay? Dude, but the thing is, I was slotted for like at least 4.5 hours. But the thing is, like, that shit's too long. Because I was like, okay, it's a 7-hour trial, right? Or 7-hour episode. And I was like, I think I clocked in like 3 or 4 episodes, or 3 or 4 hours last time. So I was like, I could probably finish it up. This is about to approach like 4.5 hours, I swear. Anyways, I'm going to see you. Thank you.